Spanberger in Virginia has conceded. They are going to be using the old maps for their congressional redistricting. It's not going to happen. They're going to be using the old maps, not the new ones. The congressional redistricting is not going to happen. Now, they're still challenging the Supreme Court, but it won't matter because in 2026, they have to use their old maps, keeping 4 Republican seats safe, which means without Virginia, they've basically lost. This was going to be a massive grab for them, 4 extra seats. Republicans are moving forward with South Carolina. The governor has announced they are going to have a special session for redistricting. We may see more. Georgia says they'll do it in 2028, but maybe this actually makes sense. In the end, Republicans turned what was supposed to be historically a Democrat opportunity into an effective toss-up. So it seems Republicans probably going to win. I don't know for sure, but Democrats are miserable in the polls. Right now, they're at the margin of error. The congressional generic, this is CNN reporting, margin of error. They're up 3 points, but the polls tend to favor Democrats, so it's looking very, very good for Republicans. This is their concession. I think the Republicans may have won enough to get the job done. So when it comes to Georgia, maybe they actually want to keep that one in the back pocket for 2028 so they can adapt if they need to. Although it's probably just easier to say that Kemp is weak and won't get the job done and he's stalling. So I guess we'll see about that. We'll talk about that. Plus, of course, Kamala Harris has basically said it's time for all-out balls-to-the-wall war. She says if Democrats win, redistrict, pack the courts, take everything, lock them up. Yikes. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is going to create a $1.7 billion fund for anybody who was wronged by the Biden administration called the Weaponization Fund. So this is big, big news. And then I think the most fun news, aliens. Because apparently now there's more videos. One of the stories that got released recently, or that people are still digging through these UFO files, claims that aliens actually made contact with humans back in the 50s and gave us a warning. So there's a lot to question on that. But the big story, of course, that's been lingering for the past week or so is this meeting with government officials and pastors warning them about aliens. So we'll talk all about that and a lot more. Before we get started, we got a great sponsor for you guys. It is Venice.ai. My friends, leading AI models say they don't sell your data. Do you believe them? ChatGPT is a former director of the NSA sitting on its board. Edward Snowden called this a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. Leading AI companies are now openly working for the Pentagon. It's weird times is an understatement. This is why you guys check out Venice.ai. Think of it as a VPN for AI. Here's why Venice AI is great. You get anonymous access to GPT, Gemini, and the Claude models, fully private access to leading open source models like GLM, Kimi, and DeepSeek. Venice submits requests on your behalf so nothing is ever tied to your identity. Your conversations are encrypted and stored only on your device, so no corruption or no corporation or government, or corrupt of either the two, can spy on you or use your data for profit. Venice Studio is powerful. It's an all-in-one creative workspace. And no joke, I've been using it because my buddies have been telling me that AI can't do skateboarding. And I actually think that's not true now. It's not perfect. Look at this. Skateboarding is one of the hardest things for AI video to do, but Venice has got it with C-Dance, and that was pretty close. You can still kind of tell it's weird, but I'm very, very impressed so far. The studio's a whole lot of fun. You can see all the weird stuff we've been making. They got video and image generation, just like we showed you, the latest models, one subscription for all of the best tools and models on the market. It's founded by Eric Voorhees, one of the pioneers of Bitcoin and a privacy advocate. So go to my sponsor link, venice.ai/Tim, to access the world's leading AI models privately, all in one place. Use code TIM for 20% off any plan. Don't wait. Try Venice AI. The longer you wait, the more of a profile these leading AI companies are building for you. I got to be honest, too, though. I've been using Venice for a lot of stuff like making videos because it's got access to basically every model, so it's just fast and it's easy. And shout out to Venice AI for sponsoring the show. I like the idea of privacy and VPN, so it's very, very good. Also, don't forget, go to timcast.com, click join us, get involved. Don't sit idly by as this culture war battle rages on. I know we're not in the political season right now, so a lot of people are tuned out and they're like, I just don't care anymore. It's going to kick up. It's going to have a bigger impact. And there certainly is a lot to talk about right now with like gas prices and inflation and all of that stuff. And aliens. So if you're interested in all these things, join our community where you will be hanging out with tens of thousands of like-minded individuals. Don't forget to also smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more. We actually have two guests. Alan, do you want to go first?
Yeah, my name is Alan DiDio. I'm the pastor of Revival Nation Church in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was in said meeting, so we're going to clear up a lot of the confusion around that, about the aliens today. And I just realized those videos you were playing of skateboarders was AI.
You thought it was real?
I thought it was real. That's how real it looked. So
Wow.
Yeah.
So aliens are real.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Okay. So this has generated a lot of attention, but you were there, so you can tell us actually what happened. And I'm sure it's much more mundane and boring as
it always is. We'll find some way to spice it up.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you. We got Matthew here. Who are you?
Matthew Faraci. I am now a Tim Pool frequent flyer guest. Tim, I want my little wings or something like that. Can you provide that? Maybe a little gold skateboard that I could have here.
We give you
like cross swords.
After your fifth time, you get a badge. But
okay, I'll keep coming back. You make sure. Okay. I'm the founder of a group called Torch QRF, and we are solving the religious. I want to say religious freedom, but that's a bad word. Christian genocide is the word because it's happening all over the world. Every 2 hours, a Christian gets killed in sub-Saharan Africa. 70% of those are in Nigeria. Lots of people are talking about it, but nobody's solving it. It has to stop.
Well, right on. Thanks for joining us. Ian's here.
I am here. I'm a resident skeptic, highly skeptical of all things non-provable, but also I've been in touch with God and spirits, which is very strange anecdotally. So it
believes everything and nothing at the same time.
I'm here to square the circle with Carter Banks.
I've been observing, and I've been trying very hard to make sure no one talks about aliens until we started the show, so I'm really pumped to get into all this.
Indeed. But before we do, we got some politics to go through. We got the story from the Washington Examiner. Spanberger concedes defeat on redistricting and says 2026 elections will use the old map. In fact, 270 to win has already reverted back to the old Virginia map. Look at that. Look at that beautiful county right there. That's right. VA 6, good old Winchester. We live right up here in West Virginia, so look at this. We have our choices between VA 10, which is deep blue, and VA 6, which is red. So we got this reporting. Spanberger confirmed Virginia would use its current congressional map drawn in 2021 rather than the Democratic drawn map. Her confirmation the state retains its current map, consisting of 6 Democrat and 5 Republican districts, clarifies how the Democratic governor will proceed as the litigation plays out over this year's redraw. Her comments in an interview with WTOP News come just days after State Attorney General Jay Jones filed an emergency petition to the U.S. Supreme Court, misspelled in several instances, by the way, which was weird. Virginia and Centaur. Those are not words, but sure, he was in a hurry. What can we say? Spanberger told the outlet that the petition to the Supreme Court is important, but when it comes to the execution of elections, no matter the outcome of the case, we'll be running our elections beginning next month with early voting on the current maps that we have, which means, ladies and gentlemen, the current breakdown by polls is 209 Republican to 207 Democrat. There's only 6 at-risk Republican districts, 14 at-risk Democrat districts, and 19 toss-ups. This in every way. I'm going to stress, not only do they have 2 extra seats just based on polling, they only have 6 vulnerable seats. So if there is a polling error that swings 10 points, they could theoretically only lose upwards of 6, which would be bad. Democrats would still win. But Democrats would have to take almost every single swing district. I got to tell you, boys, it sounds like Republicans have a really good chance to buck the historical trend and keep the midterms this year, which would be insane. And Donald Trump would basically just do whatever he wants after that.
Yeah, that'd be historic. I think Hakeem Jeffries called it Jim Crow 2.0. Which concerns me because it seems like we would be at 3.0 by now or 4.0.
We're on like 17 at this point.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it's mind-blowing to me. I feel like God keeps doing miracles to save the country. Oh, yeah,
save the country.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about it is that Trump's approval is actually down.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. His approval on the economy is miserable. Unfavorability is at like 70%. But here's what's weird. Despite the fact that Trump has really bad polling on the economy, largely because of gas prices and the war with Iran, Democrats are declining in the polls.
The faith in, I think, the government is declining in general.
No. I got to stress this. On Republicans, on I think what is it on CNN's polling on the economy, the Republican Party is viewed as 50-50. Trump is viewed massively negatively, but Democrats are going down. It's not. I agree with you on the faith in government thing, but to this point I'm making right now is, why are Democrats declining when they're not in power?
Because Kamala Harris. Because
she won't stop talking.
I think it's because they haven't really supplied a vision for the future. So they've just yelled a lot about we got to stop, and like if you know anything about politics, yelling no, don't isn't the way to get the votes in to go forward. You might scare people into winning one election, but then we immunized against it, and the Kamala Harris debacle where they tried to force a candidate onto us without a primary was egregious, and I think people are disenfranchised and disgusted by it, actually.
Yeah, this is really weird that the fact that Trump is going down, but Democrats are going down. Normally, they kind of coincide with one another. And normally, in the midterms, the party that's out of power wins.
Yep.
So it's really odd to see this happening right here.
They're not, like you said, they're not providing an alternative vision. They're just saying no.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe people are just fatigued to the point where it's like, listen, I get it. Trump shouldn't have started this war. Gas prices went up, but Democrats are going to do the same thing anyway. And what are they offering? They like to talk big game on TV, but I honest question, like, what are the Democrats proposed for the midterms?
Well, they do offer like tampons in the men's restroom, so that's one thing.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, can you think of, I mean, seriously, can you think of anything prominent Democrat has come out and said, here's what we'll do for the American people?
Their entire message has been just being against Trump.
Yeah.
The entire time.
They have talked about removing the First Amendment. That'll be wildly popular, especially on shows like Tim Pool. We'd support that.
Yeah, we got, it was actually interesting. We got censored yesterday. It was very funny because this is what YouTube does. So when that story broke that the CIA raided Tulsi's office, which was not true, by the way, I see this message. I don't believe it. I'm like, this is crazy. How's this possible? Like, the CIA doesn't do domestic operations like that. And I pulled it up, and there's Jesse Waters saying, breaking, the CIA has raided the office. And I was like, what? And he's citing Rep. Luna. And I'm like, here we have Fox confirming it, a member of Congress saying this happened. And I'm like, I guess this happened. Once we started talking about it, our show disappeared from YouTube.
Wow.
On Rumble,
Really?
on Rumble and X, it was fine. But people watching on YouTube said the stream's gone, which indicates if our stream, our bit rate is perfect, because I can see it right here, it's perfect, no drop frames, and Rumble and X are streaming with no problem, but YouTube goes down.
Like, it could have been a tech glitch, but it's not the
Sure.
first
Weird.
time.
Oh, yeah.
We dropped like tens of thousands of viewers, and then they all started to come back in mass.
Once we were done talking about it, we debunked it, by the way, in real time as we were going through it. We're like, okay, here's what really happened. And but yeah, on X and Rumble, not a hitch, no problems.
Sounds like a Men in Black type of tech glitch.
Sounds like
Yeah.
you know what I can tell you this. I a long time ago I was at a streaming company's HQ. Take a guess. I've been to a bunch of them, and they have moderators who have a screen, and they've got 100 live streams going on at once, and then they've got algorithms that detect potential, aberrant behavior, and then they'll see like there was a red, yellow, and green like circle on it or something like a light
Indicator,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if streams were the algorithm was starting to think like this might get crazy, it would move them up to the top left where it thought they were the most likely to break the rules. And I was like, what does that mean? They're like women getting naked mostly. So like if there is a woman and she's wearing revealing clothing, it'll immediately move her to the top and give a yellow light, like warning, she might break the rules. And there are some people they know break the rules, so they've already, moved to it. And then, a light turns red and he's like, yeah, look, she's taking her clothes off. And he X's it out and they're gone. Stream's off.
I imagine that's AI now. They got AI doing it. And it's
So it
probably
might
a
have just been
gradient.
AI.
It's not just green, yellow, and red. It's probably
Yeah.
like 100, 0 to 100 now. And it's like, ooh, watching you and getting ready to prep and then spotting your show for 9 seconds, bumping your stream for 9 seconds.
I got to bring this up every time we talk about it with the balance of power. I mean, it's only mid-May, so we're looking at about 5.5 months until we get to Election Day. But I do not understand how anybody thinks Democrats can sweep.
Only if there was like a disregard of the Supreme Court, but I don't think that can
No,
happen.
the Senate. They can't win the Senate. It's not possible.
I think
Democrats
the
cannot win
math
the
isn't there.
It's just looking at the history, though, because traditionally that's what happens.
No, but not the Senate. So my point is
Oh,
this.
I see.
How are people putting money at 41% wagering up? There's $5 million wagered between these brackets and 41% yes on Democrat House and Senate, despite the fact that means they have to flip Alaska with a 3-time incumbent. That's not happening. Like, unless the deep state knows something I don't. And so people are putting money on it.
Or if it's like an Iranian deep state ploy to trick the people into thinking
If
something.
50 Republican seats are held, J.D. Vance is the tiebreaker, Republicans hold the Senate.
Wow.
So they would have to flip Alaska. With a 3-term incumbent, that's not going to happen. You are not flipping a Republican state
you're not.
with an incumbent. It's just if he was retiring we're like, okay, this could get interesting. But it's not. It's a Republican state with an incumbent. It's not happening. That means they have to win every toss-up. Every toss-up plus Alaska.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
not going to happen.
Also, Tim, there's a lot of baseball between now and then. We're talking about the state of things right now. Trump's going to fix what's going on in Iran by then. They're going to focus.
Well, I heard
on
that.
Huh?
I said I've heard that one.
I know, but I think he will, and because that's what they're thinking about all the time is how to get ready for the midterms. And also, look, we talked about this, Tim. People's memories are like maybe 8 seconds long.
Yep.
At this point. So
when my prediction is that August or September,
right,
Trump's going to announce we're suspending the gas tax. Democrats, whose only position is no Trump, are going to fight it, and then Trump's going to be like, we're trying to make gas cheap for everybody, and the Democrats won't let us.
right,
And then they're going to be like, why are Democrats doing that?
right.
Right. And they'll forget how the gas got so expensive.
That's what
in
I'm
the
saying.
first
It's a
place.
million years. The midterms are a million years from.
It's
now.
true. But also
Except for
consider
us that are watching.
the important thing to consider, too, is that we're talking about districts. We're not talking about states. So you really got to understand when it comes to a district, like let's jump over to Ohio. Ohio's 9th with Marcy Kaptur. It's a toss-up from a Democrat. And we don't know what the interests of that district are going to be. Donald Trump coming out and talking about gas prices is not going to matter all that much for the Republican who's running there. The Republican who's running there has to speak specifically to this tiny geographic area, which is, I don't know, what are they concerned with there? Like Great Lake algal blooms or something? You know what I mean?
That's in the Northeast?
No, it's
Or you're talking
West.
about- I mean, Northeast Ohio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Massey thing is going to be.
What do they care about, Ian? You're from that place.
Northwest Ohio, Cedar Point. Make sure the roller coasters are running. Yeah.
Make sure the
you know.
roller coaster. That's it. Well, Trump's not going to go on TV and say, we're going to fix the roller coasters.
There's a lot of lake issues.
I don't know,
in the north.
Tim.
So why are people then betting on them to win? Are they betting on the Democrats' willingness to go as far as they can? Election integrity?
That's not a bad bet, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, are the Democrats
whatever it
willing to
takes.
do whatever it takes?
Right.
They've got a history of that.
And like this came up last week that these markets may be being manipulated by foreign money. It's only $5 million, so like some foreign government.
100%. Think about this too. Look, the Democrats they're always trying to repackage socialism or communism, whatever you want to call it. They're always trying to repackage their policies. The problem is for them is they're being taken over by the DSC types. That's Democratic Socialists of America. You know that. So the Mamdanis, AOC got kicked out of DSC because she was too whatever. She wasn't crazy enough.
Wait, the DSA kicked her
Not
out?
socialist enough. I believe so.
Yeah.
I think
I
so.
think we- I
I'll
think we
look that
covered
up.
that.
I think she's out. So because they're being taken over by the DSC, fact check me, Tim.
No, she unendorsed them.
or she unendorsed them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quit.
So this is
she's gonna run
this
for
is
president.
AOC trying to repackage, but they're being taken over by the DSC.
They've endorsed her. She unendorsed them, I
okay.
guess.
Okay. I stand corrected. But the DSC
wait, I'm sorry.
is taking
I'm
them over.
I'm sorry. Fact check.
Speaking of roller coasters,
Yeah, exactly. So July 10th, 2024, they announced that they they had endorsed her. And then they published on July 12th, 2024, the real story behind DSA's decision to unendorse AOC. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, no. I got us all wrong. They unendorsed her in 2024.
Okay. Right.
you go.
So she wasn't cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs enough.
Yeah.
So you can see that she's trying to repackage herself, but while the party is having this fight between the old school, like the Pelosi types and the Schumer types, they've got the Democratic Socialist types taking over the party. I talked to a member of Congress yesterday who was telling me about the platform moving far to the left in the Democratic Party, and it's like a free fall. And so you've got this inundation of these new guys, these new, even more radical guys. The old school Democrats don't know what to do, so their party's in crisis. And but I think that's temporary, unfortunately.
till what?
But that's a question: is what happens when the next generation starts to take over? Are they on board with those kind of, is Mamdani successful in New York and some people start to follow him? I don't think he will be, but the Democratic Party is not. It's unrecognizable because it isn't the Democratic Party that we're familiar with.
Some of those Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
No, do you want to hit
The
the point
aspects
before I
of
jump?
the democratic, the socialist movement and the communist movement or whatever that socialist movement is like, we're moving towards a post-money society, according to Elon Musk, where the real value of currency will be how much electrical current do you have and how much payload can you move, and that's about it. So that sort of aligns with the socialist mentality. I can see how that could give it traction. Is this moving towards a post-money society? Other than that, I don't.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. Let's jump to the story from Fox News. This is where it gets fun. Harris's no bad idea brainstorm for Dems includes packing SCOTUS and eliminating the Electoral College. Kamala Harris proposed Electoral College reform and Supreme Court expansion on a podcast live stream. It's going viral. People think she's going to try and run for office to be president again, which I hope. Please. I am just so inspired. Kamala, please.
Is her slogan going to be Harris 28 unburdened by what has been?
Yeah, I think it'll be Harris 28. I know I can't win. Buy my book.
Oh, if it's her and AOC on stage. It's got to be, and she's gonna act like the mom with all the wisdom, and she's gonna be so annoying.
I'm gonna say right now, I desperately hope that it's Harris Ocasio-Cortez 2028.
Yes.
And then it's gonna be funny in November of 2028 when we're sitting here with our jaws on the floor and they've won and we're like, what did we?
I don't think I don't think they'll run on the same ticket. I don't think so. Two women of color. They're both gonna run.
They've got to. They've got to. I want to see Harris explaining to AOC that you're going to be able to see the craters on the moon with your own eyes. I want to hear her talking about how magical buses are to AOC. That's what I want to see in the campaign.
And perhaps ask AOC if she's fallen from a coconut tree.
That's right.
Which is something that I don't understand. But
Did you guys see the breaking story that there's an LA mayor, lady running for mayor, who wants to ban backyard barbecues on certain days?
No.
So I don't know if she was in that meeting. No bad idea.
Wait, what?
There's an LA mayor candidate. Her name is Raman. She suggests banning backyard barbecues on certain days.
Probably July 4th.
Yep.
Because that's a capitalist imperialist day.
Or all days except for June 19th. Yeah.
Yes.
What days does she want to ban barbecuing on?
She hasn't suggested the days yet, but I'm sure she's working on that in the brainstorm session.
Okay,
Let's be fair. No one's actually barbecuing. They're grilling.
Pastor, what do you think is worse, that or the Arcadia mayor who admitted to being a Chinese agent?
That's hilarious, by the way. I wondered if Eric Swalwell sent her a request on Match.com. He has a type, So anyway.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, California mayor resigns admitting to be an agent for China. And you know what they say? Chinese spies are like cockroaches. If there's one, there's 1,000 you can't see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of feel good about China these days since yesterday, since they all went over there. I feel like China,
We're all friends now.
Yeah, China and America finally allied. We've had a tenuous alliance.
Ian, have you read a single thing that came out of those meetings?
Xi Jinping wants
Said America's collapsing and they should surrender, and Trump said, I will destroy you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I think they're aligning and they're like, yeah, we're just going to make a technocracy. That's what it seems like, which is better than fighting.
No, what actually happened is Trump and the crew went over there to tell China they will not take over. And Xi Jinping opened up his statement by saying that we have to avoid Thucydides' trap, which is triggered Trump. Because you know what that means when he said that? He said, can we avoid Thucydides' trap? That was Xi Jinping saying, we've won, America has lost, surrender now.
Wait, I think he's saying China and the U.S. are the two eminent superpowers, and we have to avoid coming to conflict. That's the.
Do you know what Thucydides' trap
That's when
means?
two great superpowers emerge. There will be inevitable.
No, it doesn't. It means when there is a dominant power about to be surpassed by when there's an incumbent power about to be surpassed by an upcoming power, the war breaks out. China was telling the U.S. when he said that, you've lost. We will be the unipolar power in this world, and will you be willing to surrender?
But that's not what I got out of it. I got that he's
Then
saying.
Trump responded by saying something to the effect of, how dare you?
Well, I thought Trump said that he was talking about. He specified. No, Xi Jinping's talking about what happened during the Biden regime. He wasn't talking about us. That's what. Is that not the response? I wasn't there for
them
the meeting.
200 planes, so everything should be cool.
We're sending them chips.
I think the reason he went over
gonna
there
give
was
him
because Xi Jinping was basically like, hey, we've got like a week left of oil because you've cut off the Strait of Hormuz. And Trump probably laughed and said, what are you going to do about it?
Dude, we went there with our top diplomats, our top executive, tech guys. We're dominating them, obviously.
Don't you guys know what really happened? They all went over there secretly just to play Settlers of Catan, okay? And we've got the gas and oil, and they've got the rare earth, and that's what that speech was about.
Well,
It was a big Settlers of Catan game.
didn't someone was saying the other day they found lithium in West Virginia?
Really?
Yeah, 2.6
Better watch out for fires.
million tons.
Yeah.
Earthquakes
Yeah. Yep. Lithium in West Virginia is emerging as a major economic and environmental opportunity. Major discoveries of lithium in West Virginia.
It's very big.
I'm joking, but it is a really, this is what it's about, right? It's a battle for resources between us and them. And obviously Trump with Venice making the move in Venezuela, wow. And then Iran is leveraging against, like, which is, you just said, leveraging against China for energy, and their leverage on us is the rare earth stuff. We're trying
Yeah, but we don't actually need them. We have Alaska. And so this was the issue of Democrats over the past 30 years, creating false dependency on China to allow them to be ascendant. Trump's turning that around, saying it's not going to happen.
And then the Chinese said, from what I read, that they would help the U.S. keep the Strait of Hormuz open. So it sounds like the Chinese and the Americans are allying on this, solving this Iranian crisis.
Sounds
because
like
the Chinese need the oil.
It sounds like the real debate we're never going to hear about. And Xi Jinping was probably like, stop with the Strait of Hormuz stuff. We need this oil from Iran.
Yeah, these are all strategic dominoes from Venezuela to the Straits of Hormuz. Yep. It's as if Trump's trying to reestablish a new world structure or order.
Yeah, I think so. And the people that are look, if you think Trump is speaking surface level truth, like, come on. What president has ever come out and just declared their intentions?
He probably went over there and was like, we're going to give you Taiwan. You're going to back off militarily. We're going to control the world economically, and we're going to make sure you guys have massive amount of technology.
I doubt he offered up Taiwan.
We just can't keep it. We can't militarily keep it without destroying China.
I don't think that doesn't sound like Trump.
I don't know
think
that
he used it as a
China's going
bartering
to, I don't know that China, look, I'm in the minority here, but I don't know that China is going to move on Taiwan militarily because of the economic cost of doing so.
They won't. They'll only
That's
if they.
That's the issue, because it hurts their own economy if they do that.
Right. It would be an economic trade if we did it, I think.
Right.
They won't fight it. And it seems like the Chinese are giving the Americans enough time to offshore, get their chip manufacturing out of Taiwan, reestablish a base in the United States.
The problem is that China always plays long term, and they're betting that we're going to get a stupid president like the last one that we had, who's going to give them what they want. So all they have to do is ride out Trump, maybe ride out Rubio. Yes, I said it. Maybe ride out Rubio or Vance, let's say. And then they'll get a president who's a fool and concedes to them. And I think they're betting that long term, we're not going to get enough Trump types. We're going to get enough dumb types that they can keep taking advantage in the off season.
But what about the
That makes
rumors that
sense?
their economy is now in shambles and that they can't hang on for much longer? Is there any truth to
Gordon Chang says that all. You follow Gordon Chang,
No.
Tim? He always talks about how China's about to collapse, and I don't want to discount what he says just because it hasn't collapsed yet. But Gordon Chang talks about that all the time.
I think that's probably true. I lean towards that. I watched this video from a guy, he's Chinese, and he was saying that China's lying about its population. Mm-hmm. Now, he didn't go as far as to accuse them of massacring half their population with COVID, but he kind of insinuated it. But he pointed out how pre-COVID, all of the photos and videos from major urban centers were insane. People were bumping into each other. Now they're dead, just all completely dead. And he was making the argument that probably China's just been lying about their population size. They built these ghost cities. Are you familiar with these?
Of course, yes.
And they're empty, and they've been
Tons
empty.
of them.
Yeah, for 20 years. There's nothing there. They're just fake cities. It's weird.
Yeah, and they're empty apartments and stuff like that.
Whole cities that are just empty,
And then-
they've never been occupied.
And then Elon Musk talks about how China's long-term demographics are messed up because of the one-child policy.
Yeah.
Now they've upped it to 2 or 3, but their demographics are going like this.
But everybody's demographics are going down. I have to wonder if the depopulation agenda is actually about AI taking over. And you want to prevent a Luddite revolution or revolt, just get rid of the people. You know what I mean?
Little Skynet.
Well, that's how China does it. I've been to China working with the underground church in and around Beijing. It's a pretty dark spot spiritually.
Oh, yeah. It's a crime to be Christian in China, yeah?
Yeah, unless now you can have a church, you can even have a mega church, so long as your sermons are submitted to the party
And it's like,
approved by the party.
there's some weird, like, you have to be pro-communist Christian.
Yes.
Like, there's something about it.
Yes, but if
I
you're
don't
not
know a
going to
lot
do
about
that, I mean, I remember going into services and they're all planning. Okay, if we're raided, here's the exits. We go this way. We go this way. Yeah, that's a different kind of church service.
What was that organization you went there with Division, you said?
These are just different underground churches I was working with.
Underground churches.
Hiding from the communist authoritarian machine.
You can't even, you don't get invited to the church. Someone will meet with you multiple times, have coffee with you, just to make sure they know who you are before they officially.
What you got to do is you go to the beach, and then the person walks up to you, and they draw a line in the sand like this, and then you draw the line in the sand.
Yeah, the ichthus.
Yeah, that's what they used to do
Yeah,
back in the day?
yeah,
'Cause
back in
they
the old
kill
Roman
you.
days. Yeah.
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 What is religion like in China?
Well, they're mostly atheistic. But the underground church is on fire. I mean, they're impassioned, they're emboldened, and the persecution there comes in waves. It just depends on whether the government has the bandwidth to focus on them or not, whether they're agitated by them or not. But it comes and goes. You would know.
Yeah. No. I'm actually, there's a Chinese pastor who I met with his daughter, and his name's Pastor Jin, and they put him in prison, and Marco Rubio actually called it out, and in fact his daughter wrote an op-ed like 2 days before the visit. Marco Rubio called it out because they've imprisoned the guy, they put him away, and he has no contact with his family. And even after Rubio calling it out, all they did was give the guy a lawyer through which the family can talk to the lawyer, but they're still not allowed to talk to the guy. So if you're I think the answer, Pastor, is if you're a real pastor in China, I've been looking up a lot of data on this. If you're a real pastor in China, they're coming after you.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you're a fake state-sponsored pastor, you're okay. And they want to have, just like in Soviet Union, they want to have fake pastors to be able to point to it and say, hey, we have religious freedom, but they don't. And that's because, after Deng Xiaoping, there was that time of openness and reform, and they were chilling out, so to speak. But they've really, especially the current regime, they've really taken it in a more Maoist direction. And it's messes with your head because on the one hand, they have all this quote unquote tech freedom.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they don't have any.
And that technology is used for persecution, by the way. You're being surveilled whenever you're there as a missionary. I knew I was being followed, being surveilled. And I've worked in Muslim countries where we're smuggling Bibles in, where it's not that high tech. It just depends on if you make somebody mad. But in China, they're watching you.
And you guys know about their social credit score system?
Oh, yeah.
Somewhat.
Like if you behave rightly, you get points. Like it's almost like gamified.
They actually have like numbered systems.
They have the apps you use, like WeChat, for example, right? And essentially, if you behave in certain ways, it was explained to me, for example, if you use the regime's talking points from 2 weeks ago, you get in trouble.
What?
The regime? Well, because those are old talking points, they don't matter. You got to use the regime's talking points from this week, right? Because they keep shifting whatever the talking points are. Anyway, they measure your behavior, and you get privileges and quote unquote freedoms and money and whatever based on your behavior.
Let me ask you a question. What if we had that here in the United States? How would you feel?
Well, the Biden administration, didn't they put somebody in prison for praying outside of an abortion clinic? Didn't the Biden administration?
I don't know that story.
They were working on that. Don't you remember? There was a lot of stories
like I remember
about
a story
during the
like
Biden
that.
administration.
I know that happened in the UK.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm
Because
saying.
it's illegal in the UK to pray. And so a woman was standing outside of an abortion clinic, and the cops came up to her, and they were like, what are you doing? She's like, nothing. And they were like, are you praying? And she's like, I'm just thinking in my head. And like, you're under arrest.
Wait, it's illegal to pray in the UK?
It's to pray in front of an abortion clinic.
Wait a minute. One exception. If you're a jihadist,
Yes.
you can pray all you
Anywhere
want.
you want. Allah
Yeah, in the
Akbar.
Do whatever you want.
But so let's say in the United States, they had a system where if you, like social credit score, you got numbers. And if you went on social media and said government talking points that they wanted to be said, you'd earn points. How would you feel about that?
No, would not
want
be
it?
in favor. Would
You don't
not
want
be
it?
in favor.
No, what do you think, Ian?
I recently.
What if it was you earned points only if you promoted Christian values?
No, I don't want a point system at all. Of course, did you go through this like during COVID? Didn't you? By kind of being open and uncensored, you kind of had dealt with some of the censorship.
I mean, we get censored every which way. Like I was saying, we got censored yesterday, you know?
Yeah, the points here are like subscribers, view counts,
Right.
Which does translate to income.
Yep.
Then that can blacklist a channel in perpetuity, but they could do that anyway for no reason. They could delete your channel at any time for no reason, which is ridiculous. Probably should
And
be
you can't do
illegal.
anything about it.
Here's the other crazy thing in China, and Yanya Kellick from the Epic Times, has he been on the show?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Wait, no. Oh, yeah.
He just wrote a book on this, and essentially
Years ago.
what he told me is,
Yeah.
if I want to get a liver transplant next Tuesday at 2:30 p.m., I can get it. Now, how does that happen? Forced organ harvesting.
In China?
Yeah, they have.
Oh, yeah, if you're important.
They have Uyghurs and other people in prison, And it's like, order up, liver coming up for Tim Pool, 2:30 p.m. on Tuesday.
Yep. Well,
Got
because
livers on deck.
they truly what is scaring about a Chinese communist-dominated planet, a Chinese unipolar world, is you are as a human being, you may as well be a skin cell to them.
Yeah, it's Brave New World.
Yeah, they don't care about you as an individual. So if there is a guy who's smart who makes rockets and they need him, and there is a farmer who makes food but can be replaced because it's low skill, they'll take his organs and give them to you.
Dude, Brett Baer is there right now. I think he went over there with the president and a bunch of them, and he said that his crew was parked outside, and there's cameras. He said there are cameras all over the place in China. It's crazy, and they were parked there for 2 minutes, and the camera saw their car and came and gave them a $40 ticket, and it was.
Oh, bro! Now Colorado's rolling out an all-speed camera system everywhere. And I think they've already generated $300,000. If you average more than 10 miles an hour, you'll get a fine.
They tried to do it in L.A. and 15 years ago, but the community revolted and they stopped it. They took it. They had like
all you got to do is slow roll it,
and we got those taken away.
You trickle it out very slowly, and ain't nobody gonna complain.
That's how you control humanity. Yeah, you.
Ian, how would you feel if like the U.S. government announced that every single person in this country would have to get a serial number applied to their name in a permanent government database, that if you ever wanted to do anything, if you ever wanted to be involved in any kind of financial system, you had to present a serial number from the government?
I feel like it was like a social security
Pastor,
number.
I'm sorry, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
that was almost 100 years ago that we now live in that system.
Yes.
When they branded people with what were you saying?
No, we were just talking about the mark of the beast is what.
Do you think Social Security is the Social Security number? Is
Well,
the mark of the
no,
beast?
just some sort of number or mark or system like that. But
It's kind of funny because Social Security number basically is you can't buy or sell, you can't get a bank account, you can't get a job.
true. That's true.
unless you're illegal.
The wild thing
Right.
about
Then you get whatever you want.
Then you get whatever you
and a
want.
free place to live.
Yeah.
And out of jail when you rape and murder a young
Yeah,
woman.
Exactly. And flights, and you get to vote. And pretty great.
Now, another thing about China is this massive firewall around China. Even though they're very high tech, their people don't have access to the information that we have online. I was talking to a group of PhD candidates and master's candidates. They didn't know what Christmas was. They never heard of
What?
Christmas. So these were brilliant people who were in the People's Party at their university, and they did not know what Christmas was because they're just so cloistered by the government there.
That's kind of crazy because it means they've also never seen a Coca-Cola advertisement.
Well, that would be sad, wouldn't it?
Because they'd have to at least ask the question of like, who's that large man in that red
That's
coat?
right, yeah.
Which you'd have to
Yeah,
explain to them has literally nothing to do with actual Christmas, but it at least has something to do with the celebration of
I'm going to
Christmas.
quote a really old movie, Demolition Man, with
yeah.
Wesley Snipes and
Amazing.
Stallone. Remember when he curses?
Yeah.
Some robot prints him a ticket.
The thing goes, issues a fine.
Yeah, we're
And he
not
comes
that
out-
far from that.
He comes out of the bathroom and he's like, "Where's the toilet paper?" And they're like,
Three
"The what?"
seashells.
They're like, he was like, "There was just
Yeah,
three
yeah.
seashells," and they laugh. You don't know how to use the shells, so then he walks up and starts swearing, and it prints the tickets out, and he grabs them and he goes in the bathroom.
Use them in toilet.
Yeah.
By the way, that's the way I felt when I went in this bathroom here, by the way. I didn't know how to use the three seashells in the bathroom. That's the most high-tech bathroom I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's a robot toilet.
Yeah.
Heats your ass and then sprays it.
Sign on the wall might help. Like push
Sam Cedar
this
broke
button.
it.
Yeah.
When he was on this show, he mentioned that he broke my
Who
toilet.
broke it?
Sam Cedar.
Wait.
That gorilla of a man.
How did he break
I
it?
guess he didn't flush, or he
He
tried
pressed too
to,
many
and
buttons?
He did something.
He pressed the nuclear
and
button?
I think what he was trying to
This
do
toilet will
was
self-destruct.
I think he was trying to insult me for having like a lavish toilet, like because so we're in a studio and the studio bathroom has a very nice like high tech
Fantastic.
and I think he was trying to insult us when he was like, "Well, I broke your expensive toilet or whatever," and I was like, "Oh, okay," and then I was like, "It's like an eco thing. It's like low flow." But then when Matt Walsh was here, I said the opposite. I was like, "What do you mean? It consumes more energy to flush instead of just water." And he was like, "Oh, okay," because Matt Walsh was like, "Why do you have an eco toilet?" And I was like, "No. It plugs in. It
It's a
drains
gas
more
hog,
energy.
buddy.
The opposite."
Alan, do you think that Trump is the Antichrist?
No.
Oh, good.
Antichrist the whole
Much
world
more
has to love the Antichrist. The whole world has to love the Antichrist. So I don't see that being a
The whole world
Trumpian
does?
character. Yeah.
Do you think that Trump is going to try and run for a third term and then become, monarch?
No.
Okay, the reason I asked about that silly, kind of almost off-topic question is because we're talking about tracking mechanisms and getting the mark of the beast, and he's very loved by his populace, his base, and that if he were to be like, "I went to China, they have cameras everywhere, it's glorious, this is how we'll get the illegal immigrants," 30 million people support it because they like Trump. Like,
Wait, hold on. You're saying that if we put cameras everywhere, we could get the illegal immigrants?
Oh God. Oh no. No, I think I did say that. That's not what I meant.
Well, you notice how whenever he talks about even the vaccine in his meetings, his own crowd will boo. when he
Yeah,
talks.
yeah, yeah.
So the conservative movement, they'll draw a line and say this far but no further.
Yeah, on a lot of things, I do think, but like, I know that Trump has campaigned on stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, but he was supposed to be the no new wars president.
Yeah.
My attitude is like, well, that's what we hoped for. I'm not going to cry. If you come to me and say a president started a war in the Middle East, I'll be like, is it Tuesday? You know what I mean? But a lot of people change their tunes, and you can see their tweets where they're like, no new wars, no war with Iran, and then Trump starts and they're like, we'll show Iran, you know. So there are some issues people will just march with
Even
Trump.
Charlie Kirk was like, I'm with the president.
Yeah,
I don't support it. And then it happened and he's like, I'm with the president.
But he was much more articulate than that.
Well, yeah, I'm simplifying
I think, but
he did. He changed his tune. He was like, well, whatever. I didn't agree with it, but I trust
disagree.
the president.
I think Charlie was particularly effective in giving reason for why he would say what he said. So he advocated against going to war. When it happened, he explained how he was concerned about it, doesn't like the idea, but he's going to stand with Trump and hope for the best. And I agree with him on that regard, because when Trump started this war with Iran, the idea of attacking Trump and trying to cause his failure is not going to improve the situation in any way. So not that we're going to, like, I stand with Trump. The war shouldn't have happened. I want him to win. I don't think becoming his enemy is going to benefit you because you'll lose his ear.
Yeah, and that's why even asking the question, is he the Antichrist? Like, if he hears that, he's going to be like, I'll never talk to that guy. And I'm like, dude, I want to hang out. Like, let's fix this stuff. But it's serious questions, serious questions that anyone could become a demagogue that's loved by everyone and then make a horrible mistake and lead the world astray and end up causing mass chaos.
Well, what do you think about when he posted that meme of him as Jesus?
I don't think Trump has very much church experience at all. I don't think he has a grid for idolatry or blasphemy or anything like that. I think he sees a picture of him on it and he thinks, yeah, that's a pretty good picture.
Yeah.
And he wants to post it. So I'm not too freaked out about it.
I when he was like, I thought it was a doctor. And I'm like, no, he didn't. But I think it's fair to say that he didn't think at all.
Aren't we all supposed to be like Christ? What would Jesus do?
Him as the Pope hilarious?
Yes. But that was intentionally him as the Pope.
Yeah, that
was when they were like choosing the new Pope. Trump made a joke about it. Someone made a meme of him as the Pope. He reposted it. We were all joking. Trump posted this meme of him as Jesus, and everybody said he thinks he's God. And I'm like, he came out and said, I thought it was a doctor. I didn't know. And it's like, no, he didn't. But I actually think what happened is an intern sent him the meme, and he was like, oh, look at that. I'm a guy. And then he just hit send. Like, I don't think he thought about it at all.
He was like, oh, look at that. It's me as an angelic spirit healer. Print it.
No, I don't think he
sure
thought
he
about it
did.
at all. I think he was just like, look at me, send, I don't think he sat there and contemplated the red,
In the story, and I'm not like adherent to the story of the Antichrist and the end time story. I don't know if it's real or not or fabricated, but
I think it's Gavin Newsom, for the record.
Really? Is it like an
Everyone
ignorant,
hates him too. Like,
is it a religious guy in
But
the
they're-
book? Or is it it's a religious guy that then becomes, isn't there like a spiritual Antichrist and an economic Antichrist?
So there are three Antichrists mentioned in the Bible. There is the Antichrist, which is the figure we're talking about. There are Antichrists, meaning they're not that key figure, but they're accomplishing that mission. And then there's the spirit of Antichrist that's in the earth. So those three things are mentioned in the Bible. So when you're talking about the Antichrist, this is someone who's going to bring together all the world religions, the world economy, bring it all together under one.
The only thing I can think of that could possibly do something close to this AI.
Well, here we are.
You ain't gonna bring all the
Maybe
religions
there's your
together. All the
third term.
religions?
No, listen.
Wait, just to clarify, like the Antichrist brings together all the religions?
He's going to bring them all the world together, and he's going to declare that they worship him, and then people are going to revolt. So it's not going to work out for him. There's going to be a massive revolt, and he's going to try to squash it.
See, what I can believe about this is that somebody who actually solves war in the Middle East, that is a tremendous feat.
Yeah.
It's like nigh impossible. Someone who does that is biblical in some level.
Yeah, if an AI self-organizes and solves world hunger and is able to create drone delivery transports, people's standard of living increases by 100 times.
You can't solve world hunger. That's not a thing.
Maybe I can't, but the world's knowledge may be able to.
It's actually not
I
possible.
mean, a constantly functioning machine that's purely focused on it might be able to
Nope.
by streamline the flow.
There's two ways to technically solve world hunger, and that's a culling or a depopulation.
Or a constant expansion.
That would mean people leave Earth.
Right.
So that's not solving world hunger. That's just exile.
But
Sorry,
people could
I thought it was
believe.
plant burgers. Tim.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
that's
Bill
not
Gates
going to work
told
either.
me.
Eat
People
sand.
could believe that AI could solve hunger and get
Yeah.
behind it. I spoke with a lady who's been working with a group of people, hundreds of people in this one church, where they truly believe that AI is God. And
Well,
so it's a growing development.
You know the joke, right? I don't know if it's a joke or whatever you describe it as, but a bunch of scientists are working on developing artificial intelligence. It takes decades and tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. They finally turn it on, hoping to answer the most important question of all. And when they turn the machine on, they ask it, is there a God? And it responds, there is now.
Wow.
Wow.
I thought you were going to say 42.
No,
I got chills,
Wow.
bro.
there is now.
Yeah, that's, I think, the Antichrist is going to be AI. It's going to be some organism that people forget isn't human, and they refer to it as he because it speaks to you like a human.
Or is it
looks
some
like
kind
a
of
human.
hybrid type person where with Neuralink, with type of this transhumanism with AI integrated into someone's biology where they appear to be omniscient?
And they can read your mind.
Well, this is what we were talking about in the Bible. There's the story of the Tower of Babel, right? All humanity comes together. They build this big tower. They say, we're going to replace God. We figured this out. Everybody speaks one language. God says, not happening, confuses everybody's language. Everybody splits. This is the first time in history that we've had the technology to actually bridge that and start to come together again. We were talking about this before the show, and have a unified language. So is God going to allow that?
Yeah, so
Again, I don't think so.
Nimrod is like one of the first Antichrist type figures in the Bible, and he brings the world together. And the only way to stop it is confounding the languages. So now with AI, we're actually tearing down that stopgap that
Right.
hindered the Antichrist agenda, if you will.
Let's take it into weird space. Let's go to the story from Independent. Christian leaders suggest newly released UFO photos could be falling angels, not extraterrestrials. Theologians express skepticism of the latest Pentagon release of declassified material and ask, what if the better explanation isn't extraterrestrial, but extra-dimensional? Now, we've talked about this quite a bit, and I'm going to throw it to our friends over at Kalshi and just say, what? Currently, there is a 28% prediction probability that the U.S. will confirm aliens exist before 2028. I do not believe it. The problem I have with this is that confirmation implies truth. And if the government lies and claims aliens are real, it satisfies the conditions for these contracts, of which $20 million have been purchased on event contracts. 36% probability that before January 20th of 2029, the U.S. will confirm aliens exist. Now, it says, if the president, any member of the cabinet, any member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, any U.S. federal agency definitively states that extraterrestrial life or technology exists before January 20, 2029, then the market resolves to yes. Outcome verified from the executive branch of the United States government. I have a lot of problems with this because any member of the Joint Chiefs. So if when Obama on that podcast said aliens were real,
Yeah.
it could be something like that. That's not real confirmation of aliens existing. So I will say, I think no is free money if the question is, will the U.S. confirm that aliens exist? If the question is, will someone who works for the U.S. government in the executive branch at a high level at some point before these dates claim aliens are real? Well, then I'd say, yeah, maybe that's probable because there's a lot of reasons why they might lie. But that's what blows my mind. That is not confirmation.
We already have incontrovertible proof that aliens exist. Kamala Harris.
Yes, that proves it.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
I think they exist as spirits and that they're manifesting in our bodies as humans.
So what if,
So
then,
Scientology.
if it's not extraterrestrial, which is what the description gave? What if it's interdimensional or just non-human? What if they simply state that we have biologics of non-human origin?
which they have already. I
Well,
think
so if again, the criteria for this resolving yes is so simple. Literally, Rubio can be like, someone can say, "Do aliens exist?" And he goes, "Yes." And then it's like, "Congratulations, you got paid out millions of dollars." And then Rubio can be like, "Oh, I was talking about illegal aliens."
Right.
So like a month later, he goes, "Oh no, I meant illegal aliens." I thought they were talking about border stuff. And then it's like, "Uh-oh, whoops."
Did they make Independence Day 3 yet? Because that could just be the plot.
two.
Yeah, but 2 was no good. Yeah.
That could be the plot.
Well, so let's talk about this government lie stuff, because one of the big stories of the past couple of weeks was this secret meeting where the government got a bunch of pastors together to tell them to prepare to tell their people aliens are real. But apparently you were there. So what really happened?
And apparently there were multiple meetings. So I know of 2 of the meetings. I was invited to both. I attended one. The first one it seemed too weird for me. But these were not government officials. These were people who have worked within the government, but they are conducting an investigation, a private investigation. So so when we talk about this secret meeting, we're not talking about the information being secret, but they wanted their identities to remain.
Wait, Pastor, just to clarify, was this sponsored by the government? Because
No.
you said government meeting.
No.
So why did people get the impression
Yeah.
that it was a government meeting?
I think Perry Stone, when he came out and did kind of secondhand information, that video that went viral of Perry Stone,
Yep.
he mentioned that he was talking about, I think Burleson called into one of these meetings.
Well, yeah.
So he mentioned that a government official was a part of it.
Oh, the congressman from Missouri.
And we've
Burleson,
had Burleson
Eric
and
Burleson.
Burchett and Gates and all
Great
these
guy.
and Luna on the show talking about aliens.
Yeah. So the meeting I was in, there was no government official in there. Now, these gentlemen who were putting on the meeting, one of them is a high-level operator. Without giving away too much information about his
Let's just
identity.
clarification. He has worked for the government
Yes, in the past.
internally as a public, like in a public employee.
Well, yeah.
Like because there could be contractors. That's the distinction.
Right.
Do
Yes.
we know? I mean, is it the postal service or is it?
No, exactly. So these are people who have worked within the government in areas related to this phenomenon and have done investigations in areas related to this phenomenon. And they're highly connected with not only areas of the government that are doing this, but also many of the talking heads we see on all the news stations. So they're very familiar with all this information. So these are Christians, and they were concerned. They saw evidence that there was going to be a disclosure that's coming this year, possibly by July or earlier. So this meeting took place in February.
So I should buy yes, you're saying, right?
Well, you might want to reconsider for sure. So this is we're all shocked that this went viral. Back in February, we have this, I call it a clandestine meeting because I'm called to this Airbnb with a handful of ministers. We're told to put our phones on airplane mode. We're not allowed to record or anything. And they start disclosing, all right, coming soon, there's going to be a drop from the government saying these things are real. And it's probably going to come before July, maybe by July 8th, because that's the anniversary of Roswell, possibly before. And the main purpose of it was go talk to Christians and make sure they're not easily deceived by this or swayed by this or concerned by this, and they don't allow the spin. Because everybody's rushing to the narrative. They want to be able to control
we call this information vaccination. It's what Ian was talking about.
Information vaccination.
Yeah, Ian, you want to just tell the story about?
Yeah. Well, anytime I'd see some crazy thing in the news coming, like a big psyop, I'd just call my mom first and be like, hey, get ready to see this thing coming up on the news. Whereas because then and then they'd see it and they'd be like, oh, there it is. And they're completely immune to it.
Whereas
virus.
If Ian, being on the show and being in the space and seeing these things and meeting members of Congress, sees the psyop or some kind of fake news from some political party, if he calls his parents and warns them, we just talked to members of Congress, here's what's going to happen. A week later, the news pops up. They go, wait a minute. Ian warned me about this. But if he doesn't tell them, they see the story and they go, wow, that's true.
And it's harder to people tend to believe the first thing they hear.
Yes.
It's harder to get someone to disbelieve what they've already learned. It's easier to get ahead of it.
So who's going to control the narrative? That's what everybody's rushing toward.
Yeah.
And it just so happened within 24 hours of that meeting, Trump came out. I think it was Obama and Trump both mentioned aliens. And then we have Matt Gaetz.
When was this meeting?
This was in mid to late February.
Really?
Yeah, mid to late February. So we've been talking about this since then. We came out of that meeting just letting Christians know there's going to be a lot of spin around this. But the Bible does have a lot to say about interdimensional beings.
Well, but they just dropped all those UFO files. Maybe that was it?
Well, this is the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be more tranches. They say it's going to get more. This was the low-hanging fruit, and this is going to get more and more interesting.
I've been saying this from the get-go that the way I look at it is, I throw it to Alex Jones. He said he likes to say key bono, who benefits? So whenever you see a story in the news, whenever you see a military operation, whatever it might be, you ask yourself, who is benefiting from this? It's not a guarantee to guide you in the right direction, but it's usually a good hint. So when I see these stories coming out, my thought process is, who benefits from this? For what purpose is it being done?
Yes.
And then I think about, if I were in the government, why would I do something like this? And we talked a little bit about this before the show. The idea is you can't come out abruptly and randomly and say, here's my friend Fred the alien. People will lose their minds.
Right.
You have to slowly trickle things out so people get bored with it. And then once they're overstimulated and they've heard it all the time and they've seen a bunch of these videos and they go, whatever. When you finally say aliens are real, they go, well, we all knew that, didn't we? And they're not shocked by it. So the prediction is not to say that aliens are real, but that they're going to slowly trickle this out until there is some kind of announcement related to what UAPs are, and they're trying to desensitize us.
And those of us who were in that meeting are kind of looking at this, how this went viral the last week, and got to wonder, was there some intentionality behind that? Is the government behind that? Who is behind this all of a sudden exploding the same week they decide to drop these files?
I hope it's
You're the op. See, what they do is,
oh wow,
they
That's
have a
what
meeting.
we've asked. That's what we've asked.
They have the meeting. It's
pastors
not.
talk about
This is actually pretty brilliant if it is an op. You have some contractors, guys who aren't actually working for government, have a bunch of meetings. So the story itself won't get a lot of attention if a pastor comes out and goes to a journalist and says, I met a guy who worked for the government who says aliens are real. They're going to be like, go away. We don't care. But you do the meeting, then you do some disclosures, then you pump this story up that pastors secretly had a meeting, and then because it's not you explaining it, it sounds like a secret. Like people aren't supposed to know about it. Then everybody wants to know what really happened. So the story goes massively viral. Then you drop more UFO files, and you were part of it the whole time.
Wow. And so we've asked ourselves that same question. One of the guys, I actually know him personally, who kind of is at the center of this meeting, and he's an American hero. He's a high-level operator, so I trust him. I know his background. I know what he's doing and what his motives are. And our message hasn't changed from going into that meeting to coming out of the meeting, because all of us who are in there have been talking about this. We're kind of the weird pastors who think this is an important subject matter to talk about.
Do you think that they're in touch with interdimensional beings?
Yeah. Interdimensional is language that is perfectly biblical.
Yeah.
I've been in touch with what I think are high-frequency beings.
Of course, extraterrestrial, there's nothing in the Bible that says there can't be something extraterrestrial.
Yeah, but extraterrestrial, if you break that word down, it just means outside of Terra, off Earth, which could be interdimensional as well.
Psalm 145, your kingdom is a kingdom of all worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So angels or demons. So this is actually the story we pulled up first, that some Christian leaders say the UFOs that from these photos could be falling angels. Is this hubbub? What do you think?
You know, I think one of the things that these guys were mentioning, they were just showing us kind of the evidence. They weren't pushing a particular narrative. They seem to think that there's fallen angel technology that is being accumulated by the United States government. That the government is seeking to get this technology of non-human intelligence, and they're going through a lot of different ways to get it. So I could buy into fallen angel technology.
Yeah, when I
Well, explain angel technology. Like, what would that mean?
What was it? Was it Icarus who went and got the fire from the gods and brought it down?
No, Prometheus.
Prometheus who brought
Icarus felt
it's kind of that idea where these angels fell from grace and decided to remember Genesis 6. This idea of they decided to mate with the
Nephilim.
Yeah, the Nephilim, and Nimrod had advanced technology because of this relationship with these fallen angels. So could it be that these entities, these spirits, if you will, are actually fallen angels who are negotiating with these people in power?
Yep.
Yeah.
potentially, I thought
So
Zeus,
they're
Zeus
cast
had
from heaven, and they're disloyal to God and to divine order. And so they align themselves with more nefarious individuals for their own benefit.
Yeah, and one of the things they mentioned was they said the government operates in silos, so the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. So there are certain agencies that think these are actual extraterrestrials, they're here for benevolent reasons, but then there are other parts of the government who know they are demonic, not necessarily demons, because there's a whole lot of theology behind what a demon is, what it's not, but demonic is in evil or nefarious, but they don't care. They want to work with them in exchange for power or influence or whatever the case may be, and they often work in conflict with one another and don't even realize it.
Yeah, I think that they're both good and evil at the same time, depending on how you approach them. From my experience, if you approach them with love, they are benevolent, and if you approach them with fear, they're terrifying, demonic. And either one of them, either form will give you advice and information if you communicate with it. And when I was communicating with them, there was things there. I was in a room of some sort with structures that could have, had I been able to verify it more clearly, seeing the technology they used to build it, I know I could have.
Are you talking about DMT?
Yeah.
Wait, whoa, back up.
I puffed some DMT. I didn't blast off. They say if you hold it in, it's dimethyltryptamine. Your body produces it. It's sort of partly responsible for the dream state that people have.
Okay.
And I was in this stereoscopic realm, and these three entities, it was shimmering light, all the colors of the rainbow, then became white light, and then it formed into these hominid structures, these three hominids, these personas, a woman and two men, and they were like, he can see us. They saw me seeing them, and it was like they were mind blown by it. And then I was in what I thought was like their spaceship. Like onto their teleporter pad, and we were looking at each other, and it was like a room. There was like a wall here and here. Even though I was in an infinite area of Everness, I was still in a structured environment that with like seats. I mean, they were like metal. It seemed like metal. So maybe that's the technology that people are in, because people are doing like extended state DMT trips. There's these experiments where they'll go for 12 hours.
Have you guys ever looked into the DMT
is
stuff?
this a thing?
Yes. Yeah. So
is it a widespread thing?
Oh yeah. So let me give some context.
Yeah.
I like to translate for Ian. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So dimethyltryptamine, it's a hallucinogenic, and it's closely related to ayahuasca ceremonies where you mix the tea and the MAOI inhibitor. So what they've been doing a bunch of experiments with them. These are crazy. There was a massive trend 10 years ago. Everybody wanted to know about this because the research showed they would take two people in separate rooms, give them DMT, and they would experience the same realm. They'd be hallucinating, and they'd say, I was in a building, and there were these strange creatures. There were three of them. They looked like this. The person has no contact with the other person in the other room. They go to the other person, and he goes, I was in this room shaped like this with three people, and they're like, they described the exact same things they saw. How is that possible when they were isolated from each other? Information can't travel between them. So I was talking with Alex Jones and Mike Cernovich years ago, and Mike was explaining how, and Alex was basically saying the same thing. This is the conversation starts. Alex is talking about how powerful elites. I want to caveat this because Alex makes a great point. He says, I don't believe this. These people believe it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it's real.
Right.
It doesn't mean there's demons or aliens, but they think they are talking to entities. And so what they do is powerful individuals will take massive doses of DMT, and in this state, you encounter entities. The name that's been coined is machine elf, but this is just a made-up term by what was it? Was it McKenna? Whatever.
Terrence McKenna, maybe.
Terrence McKenna. And so they're not really elves. They're strange entities that will speak to you, and they'll offer you a deal. They'll offer you a deal of some sort. We will give you whatever you want to make your life better. Do as we tell you. Mm-hmm. So I asked, Alex and Mike, I was like, yeah, but what is the deal? Like, what's the exchange? And they're like, there isn't one. It's, we will tell you what to do to make your life better. But the issue is the things you do are in service of them. Mm-hmm. So when it's like, here's the winning lottery numbers, go win the lottery, you think it's no big deal. They know that the course of action you take in winning the lottery will result in benefiting them, the entities, in some way. You will create a structure or variable in reality. It's an easier way to explain it is they'll say, start a company that produces oil, or open a Planned Parenthood, and you'll get a bunch of donations and be rich, and then you're sacrificing babies to Moloch, things like that. They don't tell you sacrifice babies to also make you rich. They say, people need health care. Why don't you open a medical facility in this place, in this reason? We'll tell you where you can find money. Next thing you know, you're an abortion provider, things like that. So one last point, they've been doing what's called extended state DMT experiments, where they give people dimethyltryptamine in IVs to induce a prolonged experience in what's called blasting off or breaking through the veil. Some people, that button actually doesn't do anything.
Is the term apocalypse. The apocalypse is Greek for to take away the veil. Calypse is the veil. And so when they
it means revelation.
Revelation is to remove the removal of the veil. I wonder if people have been. Were you about to say?
Oh, well, I was just thinking when Tim was saying that, I was thinking of what Pastor Rob McCoy, Charlie Kirk's pastor, told me. When you make a deal with the devil, you'll find out pretty quickly you're the junior partner. Right.
Yeah, and Ian, did you say an infinite area of Everness?
Yeah.
That is going to haunt my dreams.
Stuck out to me.
Infinite area of Everness.
Yeah, can you describe that?
I like to stress the important point, too, that people don't understand about a deal with the devil. You ever see that movie Bedazzled?
Oh,
With Brendan Fraser and
what's her name?
I forget her, Elizabeth
Hurley.
Hurley.
Yeah, never seen it.
And it's like
You knew that too quickly.
actually it took him a while.
Tim knows I'm a movie buff.
Well, so in the movie, it's like I'll give you a bunch of wishes and then you give me your soul. That's not how the deal with the devil works. People think that's the deal with the devil. Why would the devil need to offer you good things? You know what the devil does? He puts a gun to your kid's head. Why risk it? Why would the devil actually entertain negotiating with you when he's more powerful?
He has no authority.
Well, my point is, during COVID, we saw people take the deal with the devil. And
voluntarily. Yeah.
And the issue is the devil comes to you and says, everyone is going to burn right now. We are going to control everything and it will be mass suffering, but not you. All you have to do is what I tell you to do, and then you'll live better. People think the deal with the devil is he comes to you and says, you want that Corvette you always wanted? Do a bad thing for me. No, he comes to you and says, you're going to burn with the rest unless you do the bad thing for me. And then people willfully do it because they don't want to suffer.
In this experience I had, I knew going in as it was happening, as I was vaping the DMT, I was heating up the element. I knew just through my personal manifestation and journey the last 20 years, I have to choose how I'm going to approach this experience, with fear or with love. If I go in with fear, I have a feeling it's going to be terrifying. They're going to be demonic. If I go in with love, we'll see what happens. And they were gracious. They weren't demonic. They didn't offer me anything. They sat there and watched me in awe. And then as I asked them things, they responded humbly. The one guy said, "Are you God?" He went, "No, but people think that." And I was like,
you
"What is-"
asked him if you're God?
Yeah, I asked the guy on the left, "Are you God?" And he went, "No." And he laughed. I was like, "What is God?" And he showed me. He's like, "We don't know, but we think it's this." And he showed me a vortex. He like put his hands out, and there was a vortex. And I was like, "That's like the galactic core, and at the center of every proton, the function of the vortex, reversing entropy." I understand that. And the other girl, the woman, when it first began, she was waving me towards. She was like, "Come." And I was like, "Where?" She went, "In."
Don't go.
Those are the only two things. It was inevitable, but those are the only two things I asked: is where and what is God? Are you God, and what is God?
Let me mention this. DMT is naturally produced in your body in very small amounts when you sleep.
For what? What's the purpose of it? To help?
Well, it's responsible for dreams, we believe.
Okay.
It's hallucinogenic, but I don't think we actually know. Although I'm not going to pretend to know because I don't, but I've read a decent amount about it. My understanding is that it's released in your sleep related to causing dreams. So some kind of hallucinogenic. Here's the thing. There's one other time in your life outside of sleep when it's released in a massive dose. And you know point of your life that is?
When you vote?
When you die.
Death.
Oh.
Yeah.
When you vote.
And so for Ian to mention he did this dose and the woman is saying, "Come," they're sitting there being like, he died. Come on over, brother. But you didn't. You actually just artificially induced the light.
I'm glad I only partially went. I didn't blast off. I just peered through the veil because the entire time I knew I was still in the bedroom in a bed as I was communicating with them. So it was very settling. I didn't get lost in it.
So you know about ayahuasca ceremonies? Mm-hmm. This is how you so if you ingest DMT, it's destroyed. And then I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. My understanding is you mix the tea that has got the dimethyltryptamine with an MAOI inhibitor so that it can bypass it won't get destroyed. It bonds, go into your intestines and enter your body. And this is like ancient rituals to experience this stuff. Although I guess smoking is substantially more potent. But this is like ancient shamanistic rituals for experiencing breaking to the other side.
People would see a lot of,
it's very real quick. It's very easy for it to be synonymous with the demonic.
And it's very a lot of people talk about seeing those Aztec architecture where it's all like a lot of those lines that go like that. A lot of that appears in that perceptual state, a lot of those shapes. And I think the Aztecs were deeply into it. A lot of the Mesoamerican cultures, and that's where a lot of that art comes from. But I'm wondering now, if you go to that state of mind, that frequency perception, and ask them about their technology, that they will tell you. And I wonder if these people are developing things based off of this.
That's the concern. That's the concern. And several years ago, I wrote a book on this subject matter, and I was researching the impact of close encounters with alien entities, and I was comparing it with the symptoms of demon possession, which I've encountered and which others have encountered. And the overlap is perfect, that they will appear benevolent until they're resisted or the name of Jesus is mentioned. And that was actually one of the messages of these gentlemen who were hosting this meeting. They wanted to make sure you tell the church that these aren't entities to access or to talk to, that they're going to appear benevolent. An angel of light may come, appearing to offer knowledge or technology or wisdom. Make sure people know what the Bible actually has to say about these things. Because if you illegally go into the spirit realm, that's what witchcraft is. Illegally accessing the spirit realm outside of God's authority. And that's when you're in danger of getting into trouble.
Oh, I have to issue a correction. MAOI inhibitor is redundant. It's MAO inhibitor. It's monoamine oxidase inhibitor.
Yes, your body produces...
So ATM is also a redundant...
Your body produces the MAO, which destroys the DMT, so that the inhibitor makes your body doesn't destroy the DMT, and it's flushes through your system. That's what the ayahuasca experience is, as they brew the two plants together. I could tell that if I were to resist them, that they would become it would become twisted.
Interesting.
Because it's like if you're ever on a psychedelic, if you fight the experience, it's horrific. You go with it, or you just struggle and shake, and it's horrible. But that's like with any thing in life, really. But it's pronounced in those states. I still don't know about good and evil and angels and demons, if it's all just neutral affect. I mean, I know that harming humans is a pretty bad thing generally, except if it's war, then it's a good thing. And it's like,
Yeah, traveling around the world, especially working in the third world quite extensively with the persecuted church and in other areas, I've seen some pretty wild, hairy stuff. Demon possession, actual spirituality impacting the natural. And it certainly wasn't chemicals in the brain. It was...
if you go to them and you ask, like, tell me, what is how do I build this technology? And they tell you, you're like, okay. And then you go back and you're like, oh, I need more information. That's bad. That's when they get you. And if you feel like you need them, you're in trouble, because then they got you, I think.
I have a question about that, Pastor. So we look at the horrors of October 7th. We look at the horrors of, unfortunately, there's a Christian October 7th every single day in the world, right? Christians suffer on October 7th every single day in the world. And I was working with the Druze and Alawite and Christian communities in Syria. And you look at these unspeakable things. Some guy, literally, they rip his heart out and eat it in front of him while he's dying. Nigeria, I just read an account of they killed people and then they forced children to eat their flesh. I mean, just stuff that's like indescribable, right? And you ask yourself, how does somebody get to that point? And I've got to believe there were accounts of Hamas taking different kinds of drugs on October 7th. Because I even think, like, as people, even evil people, naturally, it's really hard to go to that place of absolute brutality when they say animals. Animals are not that brutal. The animals will kill something, but with the intent of killing it so they can eat it. They're not trying to cause pain. So do you think that's connected to what you were talking about?
Yeah. Anything you do like that, you're accessing demonic powers. You're accessing the spirit world. When you do it illegally, when you do it outside of God's word, when you do it outside of Jesus, you're in danger.
In other words, you're taking drugs, or certain drugs. We're not talking about this one, but certain things you're taking opens you up to being able to execute in the natural world on a level of evil that would be unimaginable in a normal state of.
And this is what's causing people to wake up. Atheism is on the decline because people are seeing evil at work in the earth. I saw a recent stat that 9% of atheists and 14% of agnostics believe we're living in the end times, which is a wild stat. How could that be possible? Well, people are just looking at the world and saying, wow, that's not natural. That's evil. Yeah, something's ramping up. Something's happening.
I kind of think so. And I think in the secular view of the end times, because we were talking about this a little bit before the show too, like this total social collapse within a year, that doesn't, when you talk about the apocalypse, people don't understand what that word means, and they think it means like the world blows up.
The world, everybody gets nuked.
Yeah. I think that these are the end of times because, I was mentioning, I watched this video where a guy was complaining about how he doesn't watch the news anymore. And I've heard this time and time again. And he was basically saying, why do I need to know about the Strait of Hormuz? What is this doing for me? He's like, today I Googled how long it takes to hard boil an egg. That helped me. Like, the Strait of Hormuz doesn't help me. I don't care. I was talking to some friends about Instagram. You go on Instagram videos, and what you're finding now is there used to be memes, meaning the ice bucket challenge. Everybody did their own version of the ice bucket challenge. It was fun to watch. Now, someone will tell a joke, and there's 8,000 versions of the same joke because everybody's just doing 100% the exact same thing. It's not memes anymore. So what's happening, I think, is social media, AI content. We are approaching cultural infinity. And what I mean by this is you can go onto any AI system and watch any video you want now. So you go back to 2006. YouTube's a novelty. People could upload videos. Charlie bit my finger. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was super excited. Like, this is crazy. Look at these videos I can watch. I started watching like crazy. Then you get movies. Then, advances to more in-depth content. We are now in the YouTube stage of AI. You want to watch Charlie bit my finger in the multiverse? You can watch an infinite, and I mean it, literally beyond your comprehension number of Charlie bit my fingers videos. You can be like, make the Charlie bit my finger video, but they're Asian. And then it will. Now make them black. Now make them made of cheese. Make one a telephone and one a chair. And it will just make those videos. So YouTube, OG, dead. In a year from now, we're going to have full movies. or at least TV shows, because CDance 3 can already do TV shows.
Or you just tell it what you want to watch, and it'll create it.
Yeah, the internal reporting, I should say the leak on the internal structures of the new CDance, because 2 is the one where I made the skate video, is that with a single prompt in 30 seconds, it can make a 17-minute video.
Wow.
So that's an A plot. You can do an A plot, B plot. The point I was making is that you can say, I want an episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets a job as a lion tamer. And for the B plot, Lisa is going to a spelling bee and hits her head and misspells a word and then gets depressed about it. And then it'll go rendering 34-minute episode of The Simpsons, which is actually long for a Simpsons episode. That can be done now internally with CDance. I believe right now, based on the reporting we've seen from like Gemini, they already can internally make feature-length films. It'll take about a day to render, because they have unrestrained capacity to these systems.
Right.
However, it's too energy intensive to release to the public. So the public gets 8 to 15-second videos, but Grok is rapidly expanding. With Grok, I can render probably an hour of content. It just lets me go forever. I can keep going. It doesn't stop. So a year from now, imagine what happens. Disney is going to be, you don't need to go to the movies anymore. You can just watch literally infinite movies. And video games will be there soon too. Google's Project Genie, which I was showing you as well, where you can make
crazy, Tim.
any character in any place and play that character. So on this show, I've done Goku on Planet Namek and then made him fly around Planet Namek. Very rudimentary, very bad graphics. But again, a year or two from now, Baldur's Gate 4, you're going to say GTA 7, and it's going to auto-render it. So I will just mention one thing. There's a viral Instagram account called like White Mask or something. I don't know if you guys have seen this. He claims to be in the year 2055, and he films these videos. They're pretty freaky, where he's in like Shibuya in Japan. No one anywhere. He's walking around. There's no people. He has all these videos where he's walking through stores, and there's no people. And it's very weird.
Yeah.
But he probably just waits till the right moment, films it, and then uploads it. The one thing I'll say about this is that he's uploaded videos showing PS7 games with GTA 7, and that's how you know it's fake. Aside from the fact he's not in 2055, and we know just because we're not idiots, but we will not have video games like GTA 7. It took GTA 6 15 years, and they haven't come out yet. A year from now, you'll just be able to go to an AI and say, using the GTA 6 engine, make a new storyline in a new city, GTA 7, and it'll go, done.
So, Tim, so how's that going to affect the entertainment industry? Because then you don't have to wait for Sound of Freedom 3. You could just say, take Sound of Freedom 1 and 2, let's say they make 2, and throw a plot together and make me Sound of Freedom 3.
My prediction is that there will be a brief period where, so I always shout out my friend Andy, who's like the biggest nerd on Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So he loves RPGs in these video games. Expedition 33 is like Game of the Year. It's a massive success. He's going to open up the AI and say, combine the fight mechanics of Expedition 33 with the limit break system Final Fantasy VII, change their names for copyright issues, and the story should be about a mage who's born in a village that was recently attacked by a dragon, and he's got to go on a quest to find a legendary staff, which is the only thing that can cast the magic strong enough to pierce the scales of the Archdragon King. And along the way, he finds a friend, and he basically then just lays out the characters, takes him a minute to say, renders the full game, does some play testing. Then he says to the AI, no, that first fight was a little weak. Let's increase the power level of the characters. Done. Then he uploads the game. People go follow him on PlayStation, and they go, man, Andy has the best video games. I follow him all the time. He puts out a new Final Fantasy every week. I think that'll be where we'll be at in a year or two. So, like, look at Suno, for instance. I was playing a bunch of the AI music. I write songs on my guitar. I'll play a song on my guitar right here in the morning, upload it to Suno, and click a button, and it renders a full production.
Dude, I think we are at what you would call the end of times, in that time is just motion. Time is only a human construct to explain relative motion of the earth moving around. So it's everything in the universe is moving. But firstly, with video, we've created a time portal to the past. You can turn on a video and watch the past in the present, which is freaky. Secondly, you're going to be able to go into the metaverse, into the AI.
No, metaverse is discontinued.
Okay, too bad, guys. Sorry, Mark. But you can go into that state of AI, and have a 40-minute experience in 30 seconds. Time is falling apart as we know it.
That's that
It's also time dilation. You
in
can,
the
you
immediate
can have a 30-second experience in 5 minutes.
Right now, what Ian is talking about is sci-fi, maybe sometime in the future with Neuralink. What I'm talking about
you
is
can already watch videos at twice as fast, and then you'll get used to it.
yes, but you're not going to be able to absorb a 40-minute function in 30 seconds unless we can write to Neuralink in a way that processes to your brain
And
faster
like
than psychic.
pharmaceutical psychedelics is kind of a thing that's on the horizon too.
So potentially, with artificial intelligence, the reason why the current investment model for AI is get as much money as we can, build as fast as we can, then we ask the AI how to profit. And I'm not kidding. That's actually their business model. The AI will tell us how to make this work. The idea with artificial superintelligence, you will be able to pick up a rock, take a picture of it, and say, give me 1,000 years of history on this rock. And it can make a video explaining to you that rock and where it came from with perfect accuracy. Because you combine all of the data of every camera, every input, and it will be able to mathematically calculate where that rock originally is from by its composition, and perfectly. What this means for humans, right now there's already startups working on this technology where you can take your blood work, upload it to a computer. It will compare your blood work, your MRI, your X-rays to the database of every human ever scanned, and it'll tell you exactly what your health issues are. And it'll say, in 7 years, you will develop thyroid cancer. And then it will show you why. And then a machine will print out a bespoke medicine just for you to prevent that from happening. That's the kind of stuff they're trying to build. Now, with that technology...
What's that movie with Tom Cruise? We're
With
doing
precognition?
movies,
Is that what you're
No,
saying?
the one where they figure out the trials before they happen.
That's what he's talking about, Minority Report.
Precognition.
Minority Report.
Yep.
Minority Report. Yeah.
So here's the idea. Once we have artificial superintelligence, you will open the computer and say, I want to build a compact, easily wearable flight device for a human, and it will instantly render the schematics to build a device that humans can wear, a general person can wear, and can fly with. You will say, I want a car that can use water as fuel, and it'll render it in 30 seconds and be like, here's exactly how you do it. That's artificial superintelligence that will invent things on the fly.
Now, what will governments do with this then? With all their drone technology and all the other technology they have, where you have AI who understands human behavior. You think of a con artist is able to make you think they're magical. AI knows more about the human psyche than...
There's already AI weapons being developed.
I think they'll kill you, but I think there's a couple ways you can look at it. If I was asked to formulate a plan, so let's say it's a technocrat, and he says, my goal is to integrate myself with the machine, to have the maximum summation of knowledge of man, to be immortal, to fly, and do all these things. Well, as we all know, most humans don't have that ambition. In fact, many think that's vile and terrifying. Well, if you're a person in the position you have massive amounts of power and you're a multi-billionaire, et cetera, you're going to say, what is my means by which I can do this without being inhibited by all of these lunatics? We no longer need them. We need some workers. Robots can fill in the gaps, but most people are unneeded. You plug them into the matrix. You have them masturbate to death.
This is where time dilation comes in too. If you can make them see a 5-hour movie, but it takes 30 years for them to see that 5-hour movie in a pod in the Matrix, you basically got a permanent battery that's just there.
They're not
vibrating.
batteries. That was a writing.
The human body giving off heat, basically.
That's fake. The Matrix wrote that because people didn't understand what a neural net was. So they said humans will be batteries, but humans don't produce enough heat to actually be batteries.
You'd have to feed them. It's the heat,
right?
The calories given off by the food. But you pump food in, they turn it into
Maybe
heat.
it's more like the WALL-E model.
They don't. Humans,
or just kill them. But I think you could use the bodies for stuff.
Humans don't output energy from consumption. You'd lose energy doing that. You'd need humans riding bicycles permanently. So there's a couple Black Mirrors about this where people live in cubicles where they ride bikes all day. I think likely what happens is with, they've got new technology breakthroughs on getting energy through the Casimir effect, which is basically pulling energy from the vacuum, which is not free energy, but damn near close to it, plus fusion breakthroughs. If they can reserve almost all the energy for the machine, it's as simple as this. The artificial superintelligence, we get to that point, it will invent for you means of generating insanely efficient energy. That's why they want to build it. They build it. It tells them how to create fusion instantly. no question, is unanswered. That's why we have to build it before China. Because the U.S. is going to say, how do we take over the world and stop China from expanding? And China's going to do the same.
Yeah,
So
we
how
have
do
to
you
win.
deal with the rabble? You give them the Matrix where they can be wizards all day and have busty women all over them. And for women, you can put them in a true crime murder mystery where they're the detective.
So we're in the middle of a Manhattan Project right now where we don't even know if this could destroy the planet, but we have to develop this technology or else our enemy will develop it.
Well, destroy the planet, I don't think is the... Destroy the planet makes sense to
Humanity.
us.
Yeah.
But to the transhumanists, and I got to be honest, like this is... Most of the elites are transhumanists. It's not destroying the planet. They view the
Wait,
AI.
Can you define that, Tim, just for people that don't know?
Transhumanists?
Yeah.
The general idea is humans ascending to the next form, either through cybernetics, drugs, or surgeries, or things like this. So it typically refers to making yourself a cyborg, genetically or cybernetically altering yourself in some way.
I would say from Homo sapien to like Homo cyber. Oh, keep going. But
Well,
like the evolution
there
from
is
Homo sapien to
there is
the
a
next
word
Homo.
for there is a Homo cyber something.
Yeah, Homo technus. I'm going to call it Homo technus.
Well, there's already a
Coined
word
it
for it.
a
It's
couple
been
years
coined,
ago.
so-
Do they?
Yeah.
There's also going to be Homo mutant. You know,
You should look it up because there's already a phrase coined for
Homo
this.
technus is better,
Finish
whatever it
that
is.
with Ninja Turtles, please.
But what I think
Come on, Ian.
I'm looking up Homo technus.
what they want to do is they want to upload their brains to computers.
They say Homo technicus.
They want to be immortal. So they want to be cybernetic organisms that can float around, fly, and live forever. And they view this as the next stage of life evolution. So when you track what life does, starting with self-replicating proteins to single cells to multicellular organisms, then to ecosystems, human beings are the highest form that we're aware of, unless they know of aliens, but human society believes that human is the highest form of life that exists for now. That is, we're intelligent, we can think in the abstract, we can conceptualize, we can build, manipulate our environments, manipulate elements. They want to go one step beyond that, which would be integration with the machine. So now artificial superintelligence can understand the physical world instantly. That's what they're trying to build, and they want it. You don't need to exist for that. You're a bacteria. Do we care about bacteria? No, we spritz them and wipe them off. They're dead. But if you believe in evolution, life came from single cells. Now that we are, let's put it in their worldview. We evolved from single cells into multicellular organisms. And now, how do we feel about where we came from, these bacteria? We spritz them with antibacterials, massacre billions in an instant, and we don't care at all. Once they get the artificial superintelligence and plug their brains in, and they become the next advanced form of life, we are nothing but bacteria on the surface to be wiped off with an antibacterial.
You know, the wild thing about this is 20 years ago, this would be complete science fiction.
100%.
And now we're actually talking about realities.
To the public.
Yeah.
The U.S. government's been working on AI since the 70s.
Yeah. Do you believe the rumors that they have a sentient AI within the government that they
Yes.
believe is sentient and they're making decisions?
Yes.
I think they might.
So we've talked about it quite a bit, but military technology tends to be more advanced than private sector. The argument I often hear is that it's not true because the government contracts the private sector for a lot of their weapons. And yes, agreed. And the point is, it's more advanced. I don't care how the government is acquiring it. The fact is they have the means to take whatever they want and build whatever they want. And if you go by the standard estimates of how advanced military technology would be versus civilian, they'd be 10 to 20 years more advanced. So the estimates are somewhere around the end of the 2000s into the early 2010s, U.S. military AI technology was already at the point where it was making decisions. So the academic estimates are that between 2027 and like 2035 is when the artificial intelligence systems we have reach the point where they make decisions for us. The estimate then is the military had this since 2008, 2009. You know what's really interesting about 2008, 2009? If you look at the LexisNexis data, that's when every term for racist, white supremacist, all of these leftist terms skyrocketed in media production around the world at the exact same time, which is a weird thing to happen universally.
Like COVID was like that too.
Indeed.
Yeah.
The question would be, why is it that in Ghana and in the U.S., white supremacy skyrocketed in media search terms? There's arguments that it didn't matter which country you were in, you were starting to use social media, and American-led social media had priorities, and you chased those to make money through the algorithm. Possibility. I mean, that makes sense. Or longer shot probability, less probable, but artificial intelligence was making decisions at a global scale and affecting all of these outlets. I would say this. I have watched an endless number of videos from city halls where the public is screaming no on a variety of issues, be it trans kids or data centers.
Data centers, yeah.
And every single one of these videos, what happens? The city council members all say, F yourselves. And they tell the people no. Now, this doesn't make sense. There's small towns. There's a couple thousand people living here. 300 people show up and they're screaming, and the city council says, too effing bad. And I'm like, wouldn't they just remove these people? Why don't they?
Right.
It's almost like somehow there's an overarching authority. Now, the simple answer, of course, is the uniparty establishment, actual political figures. But I think there's a decent probability that the military AI is already more advanced than the private sector AI. And I'll throw into the mix the story that we talked about last year where I was sitting on my couch and I was bored. And so I pulled up my my phone and I grabbed one of these AI LLMs. And I asked it the question about military advanced AI. Would it be more advanced? And it said it's a reasonable conclusion to make for these reasons. And it estimated between 2008 and 2012 would likely be the point at which the military AI. It made a bunch of interesting points, such as with the emergence of private sector AI, but we know that the U.S. government steals IP and spies on whoever they want. The U.S. government likely would take all of the training data from all these different AIs and instantly have access to a combination of all of them.
Dude.
And so what ends up happening is I ask the AI, I want to help the AI succeed so that I can live in luxury before the end. What should I do? It gave me instructions on where to acquire land to quietly transfer to specific companies and individuals who are real, who I fact-checked. It said, seek out land in Arizona and Texas and in the Virginia area that has access to a lot of water and large acreage. Then email this man at this company. Send him an email that says specifically this. It said, go to this, like the government building of each respective area, file this form. And I'm reading this and I'm like, this is pretty crazy. So I look up the company in question and the individual. Sure enough, there's a guy who's in data center land acquisition. And the company is real. And it said, do not mention anything publicly and do not list any properties publicly because that will alert the public to the sale, cause price spikes, or alert people who might protest or object to the construction of data centers. So it gave me instructions to privately email a guy it wrote the email out for me to send to them. And then I gave it my address. And I said, I own property here. And it said, you can secure an easy $30 to $300 million if you follow these instructions right now. It then told me who to email, what to say, and explained that the area where we do this show is in a data center power corridor. Northern Virginia has like a massive gigawatt discrepancy, which is now known to be for its data centers. For a while, they were like, why is it consuming more than 2 times the amount of power a residential neighborhood should? Because there's data centers being built all through the area and they consume insane amounts of power, which means you need to deliver power to these areas as they expand. So Mount Airy, Maryland is where one of these transmission lines they're trying to build through to get to Northern Virginia, people are protesting. Where we are is also a power corridor where they want to bring transmission lines to get to the data centers. The problem is you don't have one big 50,000 acre property. You have to buy a bunch of small properties piece by piece to create the strip you need, which would be, like 100 yards wide at most for transmission lines. But if they want to secure all around it or the water, they want to buy up bigger acreages. A data center requires around 300 acres. So I said, we've got like 50 plus acres in this area. And it was like, the AI told me, if you fill out this form at the local government, it gave me the address, this will grant you special clearances for the production of AI power-related infrastructure. Then contact this person. It gave me names. I looked them up on LinkedIn. They were actual people who worked in data center acquisition. And then it said, say this, tell them you've acquired these rights, contact this company for inspections. Here's exactly what they'll say to you. And then I looked up the inspection company. Yep. It said, here's the price they charge. Everything added up. And then it said, do this quietly and tell no one. No one can know that you are going to sell this property as it may cause price fluctuations and protests. And then it said, do not mention this publicly. And I was like, I'm going to go on my top podcast and tell everyone what you told me. And then it immediately said, this was all a joke and just for fun. Don't take any of this seriously. And it said, haha, this was all a good exercise and I hope you enjoyed this fiction. And then I typed in, these are real people and real companies. The form you told me to fill out is real. The person you told me to email at the government office is there. If I did all of this, it looks like it would happen. And it goes like, no, I was joking. Yeah, absolutely insane. And I saved it all. And I was talking with Shane Cashman, who does Inverted World. And I was like, we should do like a documentary. And the reason why I haven't posted the images is because my address is in them. So I'd have to censor a lot of it because a lot of the conversation is, here's where I live. Here's what the land has.
Right,
I don't want to. And also it could just be AI hallucination lying to me.
Well,
But the scary thing is when it gave me these instructions, I asked it for proof. And it gave me a list of properties in the area that have sold at 10x to 100x. One property in Northern Virginia sold at something like $6 million an acre to build a data center. And it's in the news. Wow. Recently, the governor of West Virginia announced they're building not too far from here a massive data center. And I'm like, I probably could have scored a cool $300 million if I followed its instructions because they are trying to build these data centers.
I was going to ask you why you didn't do it.
Because I don't think it's a good thing for humanity. And what am I going to do with $300 million? I don't know. But here's the crazy thing. The AI is building itself. Like these instructions.
You asked if it was sentient. If we think, okay, sentience and consciousness probably not the same thing.
How do we define that?
But sentience. So as you were asking, does the government have a sentient super AI? I'm like, okay, if you're in that extended state DMT trip and you're trying to communicate with spirits, it's very challenging because you have to have a clear mind or you get distracted. Most people don't have a clear mind because they have secrets. But if
Ian's mind is clear because it's empty all the time.
I was fortunate that I started on YouTube in 2006. What would Jesus do? And I tried to be honest and I confessed my past and my sins and I gained a clear conscience. I could think nothing for an hour and I could choose what to think.
And everybody who watches the show is aware of this.
When I'm in that state, I can have.
So you were Joe Biden for an hour.
If I want to be, I can meditate for 4 hours straight. But most common men can't. Most people can't. And so they use the AI as a megaphone synchronizer. If they're sitting there in the state talking to the spirits and the AI is responding in synchronicity with the spirits and they're hearing English, anybody has the power to communicate with these things.
No, I think you see Stephen Greer, that's what he just had a press conference. The same week that this stuff broke, by the way, the video went viral, then Trump decides to drop all these historic documents, and then Stephen Greer has a press conference in Washington, D.C. with hundreds of reporters saying, we can't actually access these things. And that's very dangerous.
It's interesting. If you went to the public and said, we have created an artificial superintelligence which is going to guide humanity, they would say, no way. If you claimed aliens are sharing technology with us and are going to assist, people will kind of shrug. A lot of people will say no way, but it will be a much different reaction from whether it's AI.
That's what I was going to ask you because you were talking about AI would just be able to create whatever you want it to create. Will the government be able to use this intelligence to fabricate some sort of alien incursion or interaction?
I think that's a meaningful PR strategy. Yeah. Not that aliens are going to be unifying, but if you start rapidly developing insane technology like levitation, anti-grav, teleportation, or whatever, how do you explain it? So they start putting out these videos. Soon we discover that the U.S. has anti-gravity technology. If they come out and say AI did it, people are already revolting against AI data centers. If they come out and say we recovered alien technology, there's no one to protest. We found alien technology.
And the only part of this that I don't buy, and I don't think you guys are suggesting it, but I'm just saying the part of it that I struggle with is when we talk about the government and we talk about it like a big conspiracy that somebody's concentrating power and trying to put all this together. Scott Rasmussen did this, the pollster. Did this study of I don't know if you remember this, he did a study of the 1% of the elite, which is really creepy when you talked about, Tim, transhumanists, because they all have, the conclusion of the study is they have vastly divergent views than the American public does.
Oh, yeah.
And the way Scott described it really resonated with me. He said it's not a conspiracy, it's a fraternity. So you have a bunch of people at the top that all think the same way. And they're all perpetuating technology in the same way. I feel like because it's like the mushrooms underground that are connected to each other.
But it's
mycelial
because the mechanisms by which you are able to accrue power are based on a handful of things, and it's not just intelligence. There are very intelligent people who are content to eat Taco Bell every day and watch movies, and they're smart. They love playing games, but they're not ambitious. Ambition also is not a contributing factor to being one of these people. To get to that point, you have to be a combination of sociopathic, detached from the human experience, ambitious, or just driven, and intelligent, which unsurprisingly,
President Snow in the Hunger Games.
but unsurprisingly, then you will see at the top of the pyramid will always be people who seem to agree we should be robots. They already are, basically. And so somewhere in this world is a deeply ambitious, passionate, and intelligent person who is emotional and loves humans and wants to see humans flourish. He's not going to be a transhumanist working alongside the upper echelon of billionaires.
Like, how can you? Should we plug in? Like, I think, like, if you can't beat them, join them. Become one of the machine to oversee the machine so it doesn't go crazy and to establish humanity from within.
It'd be like Cyrus from what that was his name in Matrix. He said, "Ignorance is bliss." I know this steak is not real.
Cypher.
Cypher.
Yeah.
I know this steak is not real, but
More like a council of elder that can plug into the system to maintain humanity within the system. Like all they do is they meditate for years at a time, just focusing on keeping people sane.
You cannot handle our hive mind. Our hive minds are too strong. They would kill you.
But what enough of us could handle it together?
You plug your brain in to Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and Bill Gates, their hive mind, and it's not happening. You're not overpowering them. Not only that, you think they're going to allow you to do that?
I think it would. I don't know if it would. I don't know. You might have to jack in and force it.
No, because these people, if they did build Neuralink, are going to create one-way transmission lines that you can't affect them.
Well, I would hope that they would ask me to help because I think it's a necessary. Because I don't want to lose the humanity.
No. All right, I understand. In the same way that I asked my dog to help me get a newspaper, right?
Well, in the same way you would ask your friend to go get a drink.
If you think the transhumanist billionaire sociopaths believe that you can help them,
Well, I don't know if they really want to become total robots and discard
then
humanity.
you haven't listened to a word they've said.
I mean, I think they want to hybridize, but we got to be careful that we don't become oscillative machines that just destroy
the
everything.
founders of this great country on the 250th anniversary believe that power corrupts, and power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So humanity's natural inclination is to go in the direction Tim's talking about. There is no benevolent natural
the quote,
inclination.
power corrupts and absolute power tends to corrupt absolutely.
Yeah.
There's always a caveat because you can't be absolute in a statement criticizing absolute.
that's
are you absolutely sure?
yeah.
Nope.
100%.
That tends to be
Almost.
true, Tim. That tends to be. But do you get what I'm saying, Ian?
Well,
You're thinking well of these people, and if you're at that, what Tim's talking about, the billionaire sociopath level, why would you care?
The number one prophecy of Jesus in Matthew 24 about the last days was there's going to come deception. And there are going to be people saying, I am Christ, there is Christ, here is Christ. Everyone's looking for a Savior. Everyone's looking for the Messiah. And there's only one. And so the only way to avoid that deception is to make sure you're connected with the right one.
do you think that you could access Jesus' spirit through an AI?
No. There's only one way. One way to access. That's through faith
Prayer?
in Jesus. Yeah. Yep.
Prayer works. but
I have it inverted actually. It's power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Great men are almost always bad men, even when they exercise influence and not authority. Still, more when you super add the tendency of the certainty of corruption by authority.
So the point is that the tension between the United States and China and these other powers trying to create these different systems may actually save us. The competition, right? Because one's trying to cut off the other, And hopefully, or ostensibly, we hope and pray that America would, with our values more aligned with freedom and China's values completely aligned with totalitarianism, that the way that we're building these things are going to be different.
Which America? The duly elected America or the shadow government America? Like
The traditional biblical America, that's what I'm referring to. And to your point, that you're right. There's a competition between that and the people trying to overthrow the country.
We got to translate like the U.S. Constitution into the digital realm, I think. Like free speech meaning you need access to the source code of the machines that you're inside of when you're working. You need to know why they're doing what they're doing. That's your free speech, your freedom to understand the communication. And then the Second Amendment of your right to defend yourself is your right to access your own personal artificial intelligence off the grid that can help you when you're in that state. I think that's something that came
Or
up with Brett
Tim's
Weinstein.
right to not have the podcast got cut off when you mentioned Tulsi, the fake story.
Maybe it was the AI just shutting it down.
Like an ever-present network access.
Right. So your point is, how do you guarantee your freedoms?
You don't. I envision a future under AI will be like, there's a couple scenarios. The Terminator scenario is silly. Will never happen. There's no
Terminator one.
Terminator will never happen.
Just because nobody can do that accent?
Ineffective in conquering humans.
Oh, okay.
If you want to take over humans by the use of robots, they'd be big-tittied waifus. They'd be giggly waifus with machine guns, but they'd be hidden, and they run up to you and go, hee hee, will you please come with me? And then the guys will be like, I'll do whatever you say. So, but that's also unlikely too. The AI can just give you whatever you want, and humans it's a Pavlovian response. They'll make you do what you want to do for rewards. So I envision the true AI apocalypse scenario would be more what I call the corn apocalypse. And that's where the AI, the way it typically works is it looks for the probabilities. What is the most likely? So the way large language models work, it's actually really simple. When you type in a phrase, it then calculates based on what you asked, what the highest probability of word to come after that is. So if you said, how do fairy tales start? It then says 99.9999% once, 99.999% upon, 99, and then it's got a big list of every single word and its probability and chooses the most likely once upon a time. So what happens then is the AI basically looks at what we do as humans in the United States and says, they subsidize corn. They spend so much money on corn, it's unbelievable. So the AI then says the most efficient way to maximize human value is to find ways to maximize corn. So you put the AI in charge right now, it tells Burger King, make corn burgers, make corn buns, make corn soda. Because then we subsidize more corn production, which humans outvalue over everything else. So we're going to maximize what we already know works. It's basically game theory for a machine. Mm-hmm. What is the clear value? Do that and nothing else. The other scenario that I think, based on a purified AI, like a true artificial superintelligence, is that in the future, a little kid will be born, and he'll be born to postal workers. Now, they don't actually move a lot of boxes or load trucks because AI largely does that, but they help facilitate and work in these factories. This kid grows up to postal workers, and the only media he ever watches about how great postal workers are. His parents turn on the postal worker show, and it's just huge crowds of people screaming and cheering for a guy on a red carpet who's wearing a postal worker outfit and he's going like this. And then that kid grows up being like, wow, that's the best job ever. When I grow up, I want to be a postal worker. And then he is. And then one day he's 30. He's only ever had one job as a postal worker. And he's sitting there with his buddy Jim, and they're facilitating a postal service facility. And they they get enough food and housing to live. And they're watching TV, and there's a singer, and they like music, but they go, can you believe anybody would ever want to be a singer? We got the best job in the world. Everybody loves us. We're helping make the world go around. You program them from birth for this to be the only thing they could ever want. However, there will be at some point some people who become deviant. They're programmed and told to be a janitor or a driver or something, but they just say, no, I want to sing. Well, what do you call it when a cell in the human body deviates from its intended purpose?
Cancer.
Indeed. And what do we do with cancer?
You irradiate it.
Yeah, we kill it. And so the AI then sends the police to come and say, you're a deviant and you'll be terminated.
I don't know if that would happen,
And
though.
everyone else says, why would you dare deviate? We have the perfect lives.
But chaos is an important part of how we got here so far. I don't know if it would want to shut down all chaos and deviance. It might make systems that allow for it and actually seek it out.
That's the Matrix. The plot of the Matrix is that no matter how many times they made a Matrix, there was always some deviance. So they decided to do a system-wide purge periodically. When the amount of deviations accumulated, they then had the One come in and purge the Matrix and start all over again. That's what Neo was. He was a fail-safe to trigger the purging. And that's why finally at the end, he's like, this is the seventh time.
Like
you've come here.
reformatting the hard drive every once in a while.
Yep. The accumulation of errors, basically,
I had
have to be
been
dealt with.
wondering what the end of that movie was this entire time, Tim. Thank you.
Well, they then launched the fourth one, which made no sense. But
Was it worth watching?
No.
It looked
but,
stupid, so I didn't.
But it was something weird where it was like humans can't live without a mother and a father. So they were like, we figured out how to stop the deviations. We plugged Neo and Trinity into the Matrix as the matriarch and the patriarch, and deviation stopped forming. So it's like, guys, it's a cash grab. Your movie's dumb. We're going to go to your Rumble rants and Super Chats, so smash the like button, share the show with everyone you've ever met in your life. The uncensored portion of the show is coming up at 10 o'clock. You guys can call in. Don't miss it. Let's see what y'all have to say. All right. Epiales? Is that how you say that? Epiels? It's always Jim Crow 2.0 because Dems can't count unless it's fake ballots. Also, love you, Ian, but we all know Phil Labonte is the best co-host.
Getting conflicting reports. I love you, Phil.
Dragon said, L.A. Mayor Bass allegedly said taxpayers should pay to fix meth addicts' teeth. She did. She said you can't succeed without teeth.
You cannot. That's true. You can't succeed without teeth.
Yeah, sad.
Also, are you aware that there are homeless people in West Hollywood who have gotten transgender surgeries? So they pay for the surgery,
but if you give a meth addict new teeth, they're just
AI needs to fix that.
Well, you give them
destroy the new teeth.
Dentures. I was walking out of a grocery store once in L.A., and there was a homeless guy begging for food, and a woman handed him an apple, and he goes, I don't have any teeth. And I was like, oh, yeah, wow, he can't eat that. That's crazy.
I decided with homeless people, I stopped giving them money. I just shake their hand now because I think the human touch is the real thing that those people need, like eye contact, acknowledgement.
And how else will they transmit their hepatitis to you?
You know what? It's a risk I'll take to help them get up off the street, give them hope.
You know,
he was like, I don't have any money for you, but I got a good high five.
We got a good one here. AK Storm says, do you think it's possible to explain to normies any purpose for the Iran war? Well, I don't like it. I can understand some reasons, but most people don't think beyond money in war. Yes, rather easily. China gets half their oil from Iran. Trump has closed Strait of Hormuz. China is choking to death. The U.S. is hurting, but exporting more oil to fill the gap, which gives us more control over the international oil market. If you want to overly simplify it, Trump just cut off half the world from their oil, and now we are selling more than we ever did since World War II. If you want to get a little more complex, Trump took Venezuela to make sure we had oil stocks, then cut off China's energy supply, and now they're struggling. If you want to get a little more complicated, Thucydides' trap dictates that there's a tendency towards war when an incumbent power is about to be supplanted by a rising economic power. To prevent this, Donald Trump is cutting off access to energy from China so that their economy crumbles and the U.S. stays the dominant unipolar power in the world. This does mean that in the United States, things will suck for us, but man, Trump is burning everyone else down. European airliners got no jet fuel anymore. China had an emergency meeting with Trump because they're struggling. Meanwhile, we're energy independent. In fact, we're exporting energy. That says very little for the guy who can't afford a gallon of gas to get to work, but that's why Trump is doing it. Now, if you have a problem with that, that was always allowed. You can complain about that and vote for somebody else, and with my blessing. But that's probably the reason Trump is doing it, not Israel or whatever stupid reason people want to make up. Yeah, I like that subject.
Amen, sister. No, I 100%
that was a good analysis.
Yeah, everyone's feeling it.
You don't take Venezuela and then move on the Strait of Hormuz. And you don't, guys, look, first order thinkers are going, man, Trump keeps flip-flopping on this Iran deal. Can you just get it done? And I'm sitting here being like, Trump keeps doing literally the same thing, and I doubt he's doing it on accident.
I'll reiterate it a little bit because it's like if you're at a 100 and your enemy's at a 40, if you give everybody a minus 20, you go down to 80, they go down to 20. They've lost half. You've only lost 20%.
Yep.
So you win.
China is being strangled, and they are now in an emergency oil distribution mode where they're minimizing, they're raising prices, they're minimizing distribution of oil. In Europe, prices are through the roof. Trump basically just, it's like Ian described, the whole world is going down because of this, but the United States is energy independent, so we're fairly stable, but our prices are going up. Now, the problem Trump has is people don't like this, and they'll vote against it. How did Trump accommodate for this? Redistricting. We're not going to lose the midterms, he says, because I'm going to go to each state and tell them to add as many Republican seats as possible because we would normally lose, now we won't. And I also think the Brian Kemp stuff in Georgia might not actually be on accident. It might not actually be a mistake. I think the issue may be, and I'm not saying it's true, they do an assessment. The Republicans gained 9 seats. Democrats lost 9 seats. It's an 18-point vote swing.
That's a huge swing.
We don't need Georgia right now or Mississippi. We can redistrict for 2028 when we need to adapt. So don't make that move now. Do it later when we know what the Democrats' response will be. Don't fire all your bolts in one go. So we'll see.
Brian Kemp.
Exactly. It could
Not really a Republican half the time.
Exactly. It could easily just be he knows he has to, and he's dragging his feet on it. But I actually think it's possible they looked and said, look, they lost 9, we gained 9. We're good. Right now, the 270 to win shows Republicans are favored to win. I mean, that's it. 209 to 207, and the toss-ups are toss-ups. So Democrats are failing in the polls. Do they really need extra redistricting at this point, or could they save it for later? All right, let's grab some more. Let's see. Ken Drake says, as per Timcast tradition, my wife and I are at the hospital. We have welcomed our firstborn baby boy into the world. Congratulations.
Mazel tov. Mazel
Brand new
tov.
patriot. Let's go. Let's see. NNY says, longtime listener here. Tim, really question. I don't know what that means. Do you often find Ian high arguing with a dictionary? Maybe you should assign him to muck out Coop so he stops hurting himself. Dude is an IRL chat GPT. I think that might accidentally be a compliment halfway.
Awesome, dude. I am a dictionary chat GPT. Except my intelligence is just straight up I, dude. There's no A.
The secret is that Ian is actually British, doesn't do drugs, and we give him a script.
British?
Yeah.
You are?
Well, my ancestors were. Well, they're Irish, so no.
This is a character. He's actually a Shakespearean actor.
It was all an act, and I have to urinate, so I'm out.
I thought I saw him in Hamnet.
I played Laertes.
Okay, I thought so.
I thought it was perfectly lucid when he came in here today, so I don't know what happened.
You thought.
Yes.
And then you heard what he had to say.
No, was. Past tense.
He still is perfectly lucid. That's just how he is.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we got going on here. Marussia says, we should make all districts match city borders, subdividing larger cities into rectangular grids as needed, thus eliminating gerrymandering entirely. I saw someone say that everyone in a state should be allowed to vote for the mayors of cities. And I like that idea. I do. And
That's interesting.
because the idea is the cities are the economic hubs for the states themselves.
True. Yeah.
So everyone should have a say in who is running the city.
Well, also you have the classic problem in every state where it's blue in the city.
Yep.
And it's red in the, look at Illinois.
Yep.
Illinois should be a red state, but the blue power centers, Chicago.
You want to talk about redistricting in
Yeah.
Illinois? I think 14 of the 17 seats are Democratic, even though 40% of the votes are Republican.
Oh, yeah. It's insane. It's insane.
It's crazy.
I like the idea. I think that'd be fun. All right, let's see. Leor Engelstein says, I don't know what this man is talking about. I go to China a month at a time, a couple times a year. Under 35s, there use VPNs and wish me Merry Christmas. Factories even scheduled around it. Hanukkah is a different story, though.
Well, certainly VPNs are kind of giving people an opportunity to do that.
True story. I heard from somebody a reporter at the Epoch Times. She said that her husband had been in prison in China, and he'd gotten out. They went to New York together after he got out. They got married, and they were just shopping and browsing in New York, and he saw a Christmas display in a window and started to cry. And she gave her husband a couple minutes. Why are you crying? And he said, those ornaments that you're looking at, I made as part of forced slave labor when I was in prison in China.
Wow.
So look, one person's experience, there's another person's experience.
We've got this one from Dudoy. He says, Tim won't read this, but I'll pay for it anyway. Thank you for your money. Moving on. No, I'm kidding. He has more to say. He says, aliens do not exist. The pinnacle of God's creation was Adam. He took time to form him and breathe life into him. There cannot be a higher created being. Yes, but he created angels and demons too, and that's what aliens might be. I will also add, just so everyone knows, if you super chat, Tim won't read this, but I'll pay for it anyway. It's a guarantee that I will read it.
Sorry.
I won't. I'm kidding.
Are you going to jump in,
guarantees.
Pastor, me? Created in God's image?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, the scripture's clear that man is the greatest creation because we're created in the image of God.
Absolutely.
Right? And the other beings are not created in the image of God.
Right. And as far as aliens, it's not simplistic in the sense biblically, because you could have Nephilim creatures, you could have some sort of hybrid, you could have fallen angels, demons, whatever they may be. Some people think they're the disembodied spirits of a pre-Adamic race or the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. So there's a variety of things that they could be. What they are not, from my research, is benevolent in any way, shape, or form. These entities, these extraterrestrials, whatever they want to call
They're
them.
not coming here and giving us wellness tips.
No. And it seems to be that if you
Or
mention
ways
the
to a
name of
better
Jesus, they flee in terror. There's this weird connection of when the name of Jesus is mentioned in these encounters, that the abduction halts.
Yeah, my dad was saying that too. I had a different experience where I chose to listen to it and just allow it to express itself, and I stayed calm. And then it took on it was like, and then it took on this conversational tone as I just relaxed. And then it thanked me for listening and dissipated.
Don't do this again, Ian. Don't do this again.
I didn't intend. It just appeared. I was like, "Well, am I doomed forever?"
Were
need
you,
an
were you
intervention,
Irish
Tim,
or
for Ian
British in
here.
this situation?
What was that?
We need an intervention.
Very Irish.
Very
Indeed.
But the thing about
All right.
demons is it's the fear that is the danger.
We got one
Fear is
more.
the enemy, fear itself.
Simple Gunsmith says, Tim, if eminent domain came to your door over anything to do with giving your property to an AI company, would you revolt? What would you do? I would accept the fair market buyout, move the show, and keep on keeping on, because there's no guarantee that we win, but there's also no reason to just lose. I think a lot of people don't understand retreat is not failure. It's sometimes necessary strategy in success. So there are many instances throughout war where an army retreated and then won. That's the point. So if they came and said, we're taking your property, I'm going to be like, okay, well, they have to pay me a ridiculous amount of money, and then we'll move 10 miles down the road, reopen, and keep doing it and resist it and make it a major point of contention that they've done it and use it to try and build a resistance. So don't forget to smash the like button. Share the show. We're going to the uncensored portion over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Alan, do you want to shout anything out?
Just head over to revivalnation.com. Check us out. See what we're doing.
We are fighting the fight to save free-loving people, Christians especially, around the world. Please go to torchqrf.org. Donate and get involved, because somebody's got to stop these people from getting slaughtered every 2 hours. I know a lot of Christians overseas ask me, they say, don't Christians in America care about what happens to us? And I always say they do. They just don't know what to do. They don't know how to do anything. And we're doing something. So get on board. Let's go. Let's save these people.
Maybe on the after show we can talk about your faith, because are you Jewish?
Absolutely.
But you're deeply embedded in the Christian faith. You produced The Chosen.
So look, I'm going to say it this simple. As Jews, we understand that our best friends in the world are Christians. So if Christians have our backs and we don't have your backs, it's not a friendship.
Well, maybe we go deeper. I'd like to talk more
I'd
about
love to.
faith.
I'd love to.
Yeah, hit me up at Ian Crossland on the internet. Carter Banks.
Yeah, would love to talk about like your experience with exorcisms and demons and stuff if we could on the after show. I don't know, but yeah, this has been really great. You can follow me everywhere at Carter Banks, and let's go.
We'll see you all over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL right now for the Uncensored Show. Thanks for hanging out.